to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to remind everybody that this is a lawful assembly, and you're not to speak out of turn or shout from the crowds. We're not to be doing that, so we need to follow our rules of decorum. First item is approval of the agenda. I think we had one addition from earlier. Down under Council F, review of taxing unit levies and circuit breaker credits. Other than that, I can entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Keith, second by Gale. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. First item is public comments. First on our list is Susan with Baker Tilly.
Good evening, Council. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Chris wanted me to go over with you, and we've sent you the answers to the questions that you had supplied a couple weeks ago. Just want to maybe go over that in a little more detail, see if it brought up any more questions before we moved ahead with implementing your budgets this year into the CFP. So I know that looks like there's a lot here. Some of the questions are duplicates and sort of cover the same things repeatedly. So I will go over them as thoroughly and hopefully not take too much of your time to address these. But so your first question regarded interest and how the council handles deposits of interest. Absent a council resolution or ordinance specifying anything else, interest per the State Board of Accounts goes to the general fund. So if you want it divvied up another way, it would be the responsibility of the council to come up with that plan and present and prepare an ordinance to cover that. Then you asked, the next question was about lit. We've had the discussion before about how previously lit dollars were sort of randomly being placed in different departments. Public safety was going to the general fund, edit was going to the general fund. We've sort of straightened that out going forward. You then asked about, should that be corrected? Likely, you put lit in the general fund to address an expense of some sort, rather than moving the budgeted expense to the public safety lit fund where it should have been. You were leaving those expenses maybe in the jail department of the general fund and paying for them from the general fund. So it's likely that the lit dollars transferred in would have been spent for the appropriations that were in the general fund at that time. To go back multiple years to check that, it would be quite a bit of work for the auditor's office or for us to help her to trace those expenses, like what would have been applicable for public safety lit or edit in a budget for any of those particular years. So that's not a standard analysis that's part of the CFP, but if it's something you are interested in and maybe want to correct or look to correct, it would take some additional time to do that.
Can I say one thing? Isn't that, okay, so last year, just to piggyback on what she's saying, when Baker Tilly was assisting with budget, it was kind of hard because lit was going so many different places, okay? So what Baker Tilly advised is that everything go into lit 112 and then pay out of there. So what we did, if you guys remember, created account line items to where everything's in the lit fund and it's being paid out of lit to those account line items based on the location or department. So this was something that was done the way it was done before I took office. And then, so in 2023, we did it the way it was done previously, and Susan can vouch for that too. And then we changed it going forward in 2024 where it's cleaner and all that. So does anybody else have any questions about that? Okay.
Then you asked, how does the council control transfers? Statutorily, there should not be regular transfers, permanent transfers of funds back and forth between general fund and public safety lit or edit and CCD or any. You can do short-term loan type transfers that have to be paid back by the end of the year. But in general, you should only be making transfers from your general fund to your rainy day fund or potentially rainy day fund to any other fund if you need to correct a shortfall of funds. That is allowed. Now, there are other types of potential transfers, such as correction of error. People are human. Sometimes you mean to put something in Fund 1222 and it actually goes into 1122. So those kind of things can, if you can catch them the year that they happen, they can be corrected with a reversal of the transaction. However, if it goes longer than that or past that, or there's another reason that you need to maybe approve a transfer, those should be going through council. I can speak that at some places, some counties, some particularly large counties, when there are small amounts, if there's something like that for either payback from one fund to another or a correction of an error, they don't always go through council. That depends on how council works that out with your auditor, what level of thing needs to be addressed by the council. That is kind of a local decision when it comes to those smaller transfer of error type transactions.
And a lot of those did happen. I do want to remind the council that in 2023, I was brand new. I had never worked in the auditor's office before, learning a brand new software with negatives and having to do this. My most seasoned deputy was only 6 months. So we were a very young, unseasoned staff. I feel very confident in where we are today. I also did have some deputies that at the time, early in 2023, that were working prior to me taking office, and they were doing lit. They were supposedly trained to do accounts payable. We did lose a 40-year accounts payable deputy with a lot of knowledge January of 2023. So 2 of those deputies left last year after diving into things, found out that maybe they didn't know so much of what they thought they knew, and we had to make corrections. There were a lot of things that were changed from 2022 to 2023 as far as where they were paid out of. And at the beginning of the year of 2023, a lot of times we were looking back at where was this paid at last year, looking at claims. If we paid a vendor in 2022, okay, where did we pay it out of last year? And we were following off of claims. There's one in here primarily with the Riverboat and CCD, or with the CUME-CAB development, that was questioned. And it was simply a correction. In 2022, it was paid out of Riverboat, I think. Might have those vice versa. And then, so when they went to look at the claim, they paid it out of Riverboat. But then once we got diving into the budget and looking, and in a sense, was like, oh gosh, this should have been paid out of CCD. I did those corrections because that's based off of the budget that you put in play. I feel that correction of errors, I am the chief financial officer for this county. And if it was supposed to be paid out of CUME-CAB development and it was paid out of Riverboat, I feel I have the authority to change that, to correct that error. I make corrections by departments every day, mistakes that they made. If I can catch it before the claim docket's sent out, no one knows about it. But if it's after the claim docket sets out, my staff and I it's going to be a wash. You're going to see the in and you're going to see the out. So that's just an explanation there of that.
Your next question asks why personal services increased so much between 2022 and 2023. The chart that I gave you on the next page is the budget as it was set up. So the budget was actually set to be about $400,000 more in your general fund in 23 than it was in 22. So there had to have been some additional appropriations that went on during 2022 to increase it from what should have been $3.5 million in expenditures to $4 million in expenditures. Once we get financial statements, though, we cannot tell what was original budget and what was additional appropriation. So once the year is done and closed, an additional appropriation becomes an expenditure. So those 2 years of historical information we gave you in the CFP were just that, historical. Based upon their classification, we knew whether it was personal services or other services and charges, but we didn't know whether it was original budget as approved or additional appropriation. Again, additional appropriation should all be noticed at a public meeting and come before council for approval. So I don't know if there's minutes that can be researched to determine exactly, again, that may be a dive by your auditor's office to pull that information to determine what additionals were approved during 2022 that brought that up so much higher than previously. I don't know that was a different auditor, but again, the council could have had to have gone through budget process and approved those budgets at that time during the summer of 21 for the 22 budget and 22 for the 23 budget. For any of in the CFP, the estimates we made of future expenses were based on your 2024 budget. So we didn't go back and look at what the historical was and blend those in. We used your 24 budget as the starting point for the estimates for 25 and forward. You have a similar question next about services and charges between 2022 and 2023. There wasn't as much difference. I didn't include a whole chart, but I did look up and see that just in the approved budget, there was about $300,000 more in the commissioners' services and charges lines, and about $240,000 in circuit court more between 22 and 23. So obviously that's where those charges would have come from. I should have been presented during the budget presentation again in 21 for 22 and the summer of 22 for 23. And again, future projections are based starting from your 24 until you give us your 25 budget final and approved. You asked about a transfer. We pulled transfers out to show that, so that they weren't being considered as actual expenses. We wanted to show that it was a transfer. I pulled out the source of those. Chris's department found some of the reasons. There was money there that was transferred to the new Public Defender Fund. There was some other small line items that had maybe been receipted in error. There was some donations that had gone into the general fund that needed to go someplace else. There was some correction to public safety, some grant money. Grant monies generally go first into the general fund. So those were moved then to their appropriate location after that. So these were, although the overall amount is over $365,000, there were a number of smaller ones that
The
were.
largest one was the 257,
Oh, I'm sorry.
public safety.
Oh, the public safety, that one was a correction to put it back
Yeah,
where it belonged. So yeah, that one was actually kind of correcting that past issue, was putting public safety lit where public safety lit needed to go. Then we are moving on to a different page, a different fund. From special legislation as a restricted fund, Cume Capital Development was a loan. There's a number of questions here that relate to this loan. When we received the financials at that time, it had not been corrected for 23 and it was still in existence for 24. So Chris can't open up 23 books and go back and correct it in 23. So it will have to show a correction in 24. So this is something that we can make a change to the CFP that we give you when we give you the next version of it, because the first one was a draft and it's to find things like this. So we'll get them corrected for you in the next version. So there was a loan made from special legislation to CCD. The transaction was not booked exactly correctly, so it did throw some things off, but we will make sure that
Basically,
correction.
when the correction was done, or when the payback was done, it was done taking out of special legislation, put it back in QCAP. So basically, $200,000 came out of special legislation to QCAP instead of paying it back.
Yeah.
This has been corrected. It was also reported to the State Board of Accounts. So
They're aware. And
they're
it's
aware of
corrected.
that too, of that error. I just personally wish that I guess I need to change myself or do something better about myself, where people that I thought were on my team, instead of going to the State Board of Accounts and Baker Tilly, would actually walk into my office or make a phone call. I mean, I am human and my staff works hard, but we do make mistakes. And I feel that it would have been a lot nicer and a little bit easier to swallow if somebody would have came to me and seen this back in 2023, or I don't care, even in August of 2024, and said, hey, Chris, I think this looks wrong. Can you help me? But no, I have a group that wants to turn it into the State Board of Accounts and to Baker Tilly. So when it's just a simple mistake.
So your first two questions there about page 26 relate to this transaction. So we've taken that into account. We'll show a correction on the CCD fund, so you will have more in that fund to spend than it looks like you currently have. The last question you have is about the transaction Chris referenced earlier, where some items had been paid from Riverboat, but should have been paid from CCD. So some things changed there, and then she made a correction to make sure it was coming from the right place, rather than perpetuating it continually to come out of the wrong fund.
My team and I, if you guys will notice, she'll have copies. We went through and printed copies of every correction that was made for 23 and 24, not every one, but the ones that you were questioning. And they're all sitting in front of you for you to review, that anyone could have walked in my office at any given time and asked me that question, and I would have presented it. Thank you.
The next question you asked was about the edit fund. You said, why were there no services and charges in 22 and 23 and yet over $1 million in 24? That goes back again to putting your local income tax in the right places. Previously, your edit was being moved around to different funds and those expenses were being paid from other places like your general fund with the dollars that were moved from edit into those funds. We've got it corrected. Edit is going into the edit fund. The expenses are being budgeted from the edit fund, which is how the state board says it should be. And that's why that jumped substantially, because they weren't being made from the correct fund before. Now they're aligning correctly with the budgets and being made correctly from the edit fund where they should have been. You then have a question about a $23,000 transfer in from 7312. That amount was deposited incorrectly and transferred to correct an error. I think it was supposed to have gone to a different fund. So that was taken into account and corrected.
And once again, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but this is really hard to swallow. This email hurt really bad, really bad. My staff works hard every day and they are not perfect, but you want to know what? We have a check and a balance system. If they make a mistake, I can't delete it. I have to counteract it. Every transaction that goes in LAO, once it's entered, it's done. You can't just go, oops, I forgot it, and go delete it. It shows that history. So I hope this shows that we're doing our due diligence and we're double checking each other. So yeah, there's corrections, but guess what? The only reason you guys are able to see them is because I set up remote accounts last year and gave every council member, every commissioner, every department head access to the financials. So you didn't have to call and ask. So I want you to be able to look at these things. I want you to check them. I want you to ask the questions if something doesn't make sense. We're all human.
It's odd that they should ask you the questions.
Correct.
They shouldn't be going
Yes,
unless they feel.
correct. Come and ask me. You might find something that I didn't find, but reminder, it's brand new in 2023. My staff was all new. Try to put yourself in a position of learning a brand new software while manning all the plates that the auditor spins, helping every department that we do. And we're doing the best we can, and we're going to make mistakes. And I check everything. I spend hours working hard, and I don't check it. I don't find everything because I'm not perfect. But I hope you would respect the software at the fact that you're going to see corrections. You're going to see ins and outs. You're going to see where they wash out because we're going to make mistakes. And I think that they were made before 2023. You just didn't see them because you didn't have access to the financials like you do now.
Which is probably a good thing.
Yes, but to get this email, David, it was very hurtful. It was very painful.
It wouldn't have been such a painful email if it would have been to you rather than over
Yeah.
the button.
I want people to be able to come in and ask questions. I value the fact, I'm going to speak, but I value the fact that Randy Cole goes through every claim and checks it. He's diligent about that. But come and talk to me. I'd rather you come in my office and say, hey, this doesn't make sense, than to talk about it in a public meeting. If there's a problem, then we can talk about it in a public meeting. But to call out mistakes of my office is just sad. And the lack of grace that my office had is sad. And I want everybody to understand, she's not for free. She's not free. State Board of Accounts isn't free. I'm free. You don't have to pay me any extra. You don't have to pay my staff any extra if you want to come in and look at a report or ask a question. But when we have to have Baker Tilly come down to answer questions, or we have all these anonymous tips to the State Board of Accounts to look into things, that costs our taxpayers money. And that is not what we as elected officials are elected to do.
So I'd like to say something about that because I've been accused of this multiple times and actually by you, Chris, and I don't really appreciate it because I haven't done that. So if there's something that you want to blame me for, then fine, but you need to make sure that you're blaming the people that actually are, doing whatever you're saying, because I don't really see anything, personally, I don't see anything wrong with David sending these questions to Baker Tilly about the draft that we got from Baker Tilly, that we hired Baker Tilly to help us with. So I don't take it as like a personal attack or anything.
So do you know how, sorry, I don't want to overspeak you. I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's okay.
Do you know how many times the $100,000 mistake has been brought up and brought up through this? How many times was it, Susan? Several, right?
Right, yeah. Exactly.
It was, we can agree to disagree, but there's no reason to bring that up to Baker Tilly. There's no reason to bring that up to the State Board of Accounts. Coming and saying, hey, Chris, I think this was done backwards, or, I think this doesn't look right. That's what should have been done. And this questionnaire right here, yes, questioning them right now after the annual financial report, but I would honestly think that maybe you might want to work more with your chief financial officer to answer some of those questions before. The only time, not the only time, majority of the time that I speak to you guys, I do have several that do stop in, I shouldn't say that, but I want you to feel comfortable to call me, email me, ask me questions. I am a team player. I don't care if you're an R, I don't care if you're a D. I am part of Team Perry County. There is nothing but a Team Perry County after my name. And the fact that some of these things are from 2023 and none of this was, instead of going straight to an email to Baker Tilly, I would have liked for it to come my direction, because I'm sorry, I take a lot of this as, should this have been run through the council? Should this, here's the whole thing. If Baker Tilly, Susan had to call me to get this information, to look into it together. We did this, look through all of this together. When you contact the State Board of Accounts, they have to call me and we have to work together. I have to give them the information. So whether you call them, email them, I'm still going to be involved because I am the one that gets the information. So I am just saying, why not start with me? I'm free. I think your taxpayers would prefer for you somebody that's free than is going to cost more money. That's all I'm saying. And if there's something that I am not doing, I know David and I had this conversation last week. If there is something that I am not doing, please tell me. I will do my due diligence to do better. If there's something I'm doing that bothers you, tell me, just like you did, Kelly. I'm sorry, but I do feel a lot of the things are questions that you ask. And, when you don't have an answer, everybody always assumes. And you know what
that's not
happens
fair.
when you assume? Well,
Yeah.
talk to me
I
about
really
that.
don't appreciate it.
Well, I understand that, respect that. Go on,
Go
Susan,
ahead.
sorry.
Okay, that's okay. We're on the questions relating to page 28 of the report. Again, this is the first one about lit public safety. Why was it high one year, low one year, high the next? Again, it had to do with those transfers where it was being moved around. It got put back where it needed to go in 24. It's getting taken care of. And again, that would be to determine if anything was left from lit public safety in the general fund. I'll take a much deeper analysis and dive into the financials to determine whether that would be appropriate to move anything back. And you asked me about some transfers next. The first one was related to a correction of error. It was detailed in the previous larger transaction. And then there was another deposit incorrectly made that was transferred and moved to lit public safety where it should have been. You next asked me about lit special legislation. There was some question there on that balance, and I do understand that's again related to that CCD loan transaction that can easily be
Of 100,000.
corrected. As far as additionals, if additional was done, that would have to be pulled out of your minutes. Auditor's office would have to address that. Like I said, we don't have reference and information on previous additionals when they were approved. The next three questions, I'll deal with that CCD to special legislation loan. On referencing page 36, line 15, you asked if it was another piece of the reference on 25 to 26, which it was, and that again had to do with the payment to, I believe the company was an island,
Green Island.
between whether it was Riverboat or whether it was supposed to be CCD. So that was from that one. You asked about segregating some money. We did not have the county's LIT plan, your edit plan, I'm sorry, for 2024 when we prepared this. We now have it. I could show those monies segregated from the rest of the balance. So you would know how much you have on over and above that 125 that you're wanting to accrue for special projects each year. So we can show that separately. We can easily segregate that out in the report now that we have the edit plan for the next year. You then asked me about your Poplar Public Defender Fund. Since we were showing a balance but continuing to maintain that balance, those expenditures for Poplar Public Defender are not consistent. They're obviously on an as-needed basis. And we received information that there was a large expenditure a particular year because a service provider billed back for a number of years, which won't be happening going forward. They put a sort of a time limit on how promptly the Poplar defenders have to submit their bills to the county going forward. It is possible that if you have maybe a large trial of some sort and you have large Poplar fees coming in one year, you may not completely expend them the next year. If you don't have a capital trial of some sort going on the following year, you may not have that high level of Poplar expenses to get reimbursed. So it's not necessarily, it's neither correct nor incorrect to assume that it would go to zero, because could it? Yes, it could, depending upon the caseload. But it will not definitely go to zero at the end of each year. It depends totally on caseload and how much is being reimbursed and getting back.
But don't we need to be realistic and look at our historical data and maybe outside of that 100,000 that was additional, or whatever, it was close to 100,000, I think, and say, if we're spending 400, 500, 600,000 a year, if it's averaging 400 a year, we don't need to budget 150.
Well,
We need to be realistic.
That's true. That is true. Yes.
Yeah, but you don't want it to be zero at the end of every year.
Ideally, you
No,
don't, because then
but
you
I
have
mean,
you have to
we have to
supplement it from your general fund. Because that's going to happen
That's where the
regardless.
additional-
Regardless of what you budget, you don't have a crystal ball. Nobody has a crystal ball to know what cases are going to come up in a given year. So if you have the funds and you can legitimately budget 400,000 from the fund if you need to, that's great. But if you only, you don't have that balance, obviously you can't expend that, and you need to make plans to get it from your general fund or some other source.
I just want to be as
would hope
realistic
that
as
it
we can
would,
with the
but
data.
I kind of doubt that it probably will ever satisfy the Poplar attorney.
Currently, right now, we have 140, right under, like literally $6, right under 143,000 in Poplar. We're getting ready to make a transfer of 55,000, or an additional appropriation, I'll transfer, sorry.
Well, but we've went over, right? We've had several additionals this year outside of the 150 we had.
No, we have not. Because we built that fund up. Now, you budgeted, hold on a second.
Budgeted 150, but we've went well over that and we've had to
With
pull out of another
expenditures, but not money out of the general.
Okay, so in 2023, I received all reimbursement into this fund 8961, Poplar reimbursement. There were no expenditures in 2023. So that gave us the opportunity to build that account
We
up.
had 98,000 in there at the beginning of the year.
Check,
I think from 2023. It was for 3 quarters.
balance by
believe-
fund.
Was it 98,000?
I'm looking real quick. 12/31, 2023.
I just want to be as realistic as possible.
Right, and we can change that estimate. We can, if you want to show that fund going to zero each year with because you get, I think it's 80% of the expenses back.
No.
Is it
60.
60?
No.
Oh, 60, I'm sorry. Brother reimbursement.
66. You're right, we had 98,000.
Yeah.
And then if we go to today, hold on a second, today.
But we budgeted.
We have received in $186,719.50, and we're getting ready to, we've received that in. We have expended $123,824.78. Now, we did have, let me view balance by account.
Wasn't it total 323,000 this year?
No, hold on. because we paid them out, that's out of one
Yeah,
fund.
both of them, right?
I have to look at the other fund. Just give me 1 second, I gotta type in attorney. 0068. And out of general. Okay. It's out of circuit court, not there, sorry. I knew that. It's out of circuit court location. We appropriated, we've expended $177,300, basically, $299.60. So we've spent that out of general. We still have $21,528.62 left in appropriation in general, but we shouldn't spend that because now we have this popper. It comes out of popper now first. So as far as I'm concerned, or if it were me, the way I look at it, you pay it out of the popper until you don't have anything left, and then you go to general.
No, I agree.
So
I wish we would have done that before, when we realized,
well, the good news is, remember, you guys didn't tell me to do it till 2024, but I had already been doing it, so it allows us in 2023, allowed us to build that up in 2023. Huh?
We can't pay that back with that. We can't use some of that money to, those additionals that we did, we can't pay them back. Out of there.
I mean, I guess we could do a correction of error and say we should have paid these
I
out
told
of,
you to your face. Is that good?
yeah. I mean, we technically, we paid 177, we've got that money in there. I mean, if that's what you guys want to do it would just go back to the general, but then it's going to deplete it again. So
Currently, do we owe, do you
I
know,
just wish it was.
I don't have anything right now.
are you going to suddenly go get
I haven't got anything.
huge?
No, I think we're all paid up.
Unusual.
We just had, didn't we just have a trial last week though? I think we just had a trial last week, so I haven't got that one. I think we just had a trial last week. But as soon as the circuit court gets it to me, then we pay it. But that's why I wanted to, every time we get a reimbursement, go ahead and do an additional where it's available out of popper, where I don't have to come here and wait a month and see you guys to ask for it. So as soon as we get it, make it as an appropriation. So then as I get the bills, I can pay them out. So, which is, popper's just Russian roulette. We
I just
really
want to
don't
look at
know.
it closer up any time, just to see.
If it were me, I wouldn't budget anything for popper in there and pay it out of here until,
I don't ever fly.
I don't know. You're gonna have to pay it, so it doesn't matter. So, if you can end up, that's
Either
what,
budget
yeah,
or
that's your
pay
all's
it
decision at
anyway.
budget. That's all your decision at budget. But, my hope is the popper doesn't ever go to zero, but, I don't have a crystal ball, as Susan said.
So that was the last of your questions on the list that I had, unless anything else has come up since then, or there's anything else you want to revisit.
So there were a couple where we just need to get with Chris on, I think.
Yeah, I think there's some things there, and then.
Yep, and you
like I
guys
said,
have all the-
CCD transaction will
These
correct, that
two
was
right
really the
here,
thing that
those
came
are
out
all
of this, that
the
made some major
answers.
change to the
No,
information that we
these
had,
are-
Oh, right.
or re-estimating in the popper.
So will you redo that draft and give?
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can probably get that done and maybe even get it to Chris in PDF form before you start your budget stuff. your-
And then budget books, we're supposed to have those September 9th.
Yep, we'll have those.
So we're good
Have
on
that
those.
information too, so. So, that's it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Susan.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you, Susan.
Safe travels back, Susan.
Thank you.
Next on the list of speakers is Chris. I think
I'm
you're
good,
finished, aren't you?
Good.
Okay, next we have, who is this? Chris Wheeler. Where is she? Oh, there.
Hi. So I am the former director of Perry County Solid Waste. And I'm here as the former director and as a citizen. I didn't expect to be here until just a few minutes before I got here. I'm not sure where to start. When I walked in the building, I got a wink. I had about 10 people tell me I should come here today. So you guys are moving some money over, right? Or possibly moving some money, right? So,
News to me.
well, that was on the agenda. I
Right.
saw that there was some possibility of moving some money over to cover. Hi Kelly, how are you?
I'm good.
Some of you I know that I've known a little bit through the years. So I came because, we ran out of money because we were not given money. Last time I was in front of the board, I asked for approval of our budget. Do you remember that? I turned in a budget for us to bill the citizens of Perry County the $45 bill, and you approved it. Am I correct?
Sure.
I believe that's your board's decision.
No, ma'am, I'm just
The
asking.
budget that you gave us, we
did.
approved, but
It's
your
just
board
used
has
to
to decide
find
on
me.
it.
No,
That's
I'm
not
just asking you,
Yeah, we did.
did that happen?
We approved your budget. We
You,
I don't-
and
we
in
don't
that
approve
budget,
your
I
board
asked for a
decision.
the $45 bill was
Right.
mailed out to citizens. I'm just asking you if that happened.
We do
Ma'am,
not have
I'm just
permission to tell you to
asking you
bill
if that
mail a
happened.
bill or not. That's your board's decision.
Ma'am, when I was here last time, I gave the presentation the first time and I read it. Then the second time, we were out at the armory. Did that happen? Did I come to this board and ask you to do that and I turned in the budget and it went to Indianapolis for the department to submit us to mail for a $45 bill to go to the residents, the property owners, let me correct myself, the property owners that live in Florida, that live in other parts. That was approved by this board.
We approved your budget. We do not approve
Okay.
what you
You're right, you're
can or
right,
can't do with
you're
your
right, ma'am, you did.
Yeah.
And I went about my business as the former director and as was voted on. I did that.
I don't believe we can change your budget.
No, I'm not asking you to. I just
We
came here
couldn't
to
do
ask a
that,
question.
yeah.
I'm not asking.
We only approved because you're a binding contract. That's the only reason why we
So
had
you
anything to
guys
do with it.
approved what I came to you for.
We don't approve whether you mail bills or not. That's incorrect.
I'm just,
You brought up
let's
the
not
budget, you said
split
yours
hairs
was.
right now.
No, that's the very
Because
important,
I'm here
because we're not gonna be
representing
accused of that.
what I did for the citizens in my former position, what I did representing the department.
Did your board approve your budget
Kelly,
before you brought
Ms.
it to
Harding.
this?
you and I, you know the first time I heard your name
No.
was from my estranged husband, Rodney Wheeler.
Okay.
Okay, and he said you were going to change Perry County.
Oh, well, I don't know your
You-
estranged husband. I met him
I
one
believe
time.
you do.
I don't believe I do.
Oh,
And
I
I don't
believe
believe
you
that you
do.
need to accuse me of anything.
I'm not
because I met
accusing you.
him
I'm
one
telling
time
you that you
at a
told me you
gas
were going
or
to
at
change
a
Perry County
car
by
wash.
political, and I believe you are.
No,
So
okay,
let's
David,
just say
is
this.
out of
Let's not get off track.
This
The
is,
$45.
that's
Mr. Clerk,
incorrect.
correct me if I'm wrong. There was a $45 bill that we were supposed to mail out to the property owners of Perry County. That was voted on and approved. Bottom line. Then you, sir, came up with an idea in late November, because our meetings are the fourth week, work, because we no longer exist. This board is going to do what they're going to do. You're going to do what you're going to do. But we, in the capacity that we were, to have less money to the citizens, it was going to cost less money. That's what we were going to do. You changed it. We waited all year for money. Could not run. And the only reason we still exist, and the only reason, is because bills were not paid. That is why the employees still work. Thank God. I held back, honestly, bills. Because otherwise the employees would not still be working. And I am standing in front of everyone, admitting it, telling you, I did not pay bills so that the employees could work.
Did you make deposits also?
Yes, sir, I did, but there was money in there. You can ask the
No, I'm just asking, were you
Yes.
making deposits? There were
Yes,
a
on a
lot of
regular
checks that were old. from
Yes,
the first
there
of the
were,
year.
yes. Because I thought Mr. Cole would release the money if he saw that we didn't have much money. So there was about 10 checks to Nobles in my safe. Because I arrogantly, stupidly, humanely thought that Mr. Cole would say, you know what, my pride's not enough. I'm not going to do this to the residents. I'm going to give that money to them so that they can continue. Because Mr. West, our accountant, would say, we have no money left. I would sit there and be quiet. I would jump through the hoops. I would be quiet. And I would beg him for the money. That wasn't enough. He wanted this, he wanted that. And I'd say, we need the money. Chris stood at a meeting and said, Randy, Chris has sent emails telling you that she needs money to operate. She can't pay all her bills. I've sent emails to the whole board. They all ignored it. So I held back bills. Yes, I did. And that's one of the things I told Randy the day he fired me. When he came in to fire me, I said, Randy, you're taking everything. What am I supposed to do on Tuesday at 10 in the morning? He said, looks like it's your last day. I asked him for a letter firing me. He said, I got one. I asked him for an exit interview. He said, no. So when I go file for unemployment, I have no letter. So I have to go to the accountant to get it. And I insulted that man up and down, left and right. I will admit it. Because Miss Harding was heard saying on her political office before she was elected, she was going to shut us down.
Oh,
I shared
okay.
that with Mr. Cole.
That's inaccurate. And I would like you to prove that because that's very slanderous, because I
Is
did
it
not say I'm going to
slanderous?
shut down the solid waste. Absolutely
Well, I'll tell you
never.
what, I'll talk to the people that
That would
told
be
me, the two
great.
different people
That would
that
be
told
great
me
because
that
you
from
can
your
publicly
We're not gonna
apologize
get
for
loud.
that as
We're
well.
not gonna get loud.
So then,
We're not
I
gonna do
told Mr. Cole that the day after.
David, this is completely out of order. This is
Is that-
not appropriate. You are
I
making false
apologize, ma'am.
accusations against people.
I
You cannot do
apologize
that.
wholeheartedly.
This isn't open mic night.
I apologize.
Try to wrap this up.
I'm gonna wrap it up. He knows what I said to him, and he knows exactly. And when I told him the edit money, if he used it, would not be responsible for the people that own the property, any property in Perry County would not be responsible for paying that bill. It would be the tax workers, the 20-year-old that lives in an apartment would be paying on the bill. Not the people that own the property. And I said, what do you think about it? He goes, oh, well, win-win for them. Those are the things. Him and I have had a problem, so let's just say this. I have to wait for the unemployment. I'm the one that's gonna stand here. But the people that call me and wait and say, please, we'll say something. Say something, stand up to them. That's why I was hateful to them, for every voter in Perry County. So,
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I just want to
Let's
ask
get
you a
your phone,
question
Chris.
you
about that.
don't need to ask me.
Chris, don't forget your
Yeah,
phone.
I want to make
No.
a statement though,
Right here.
because one person.
Oh, yeah, and by law, I was supposed to get all my pay, and I didn't. I didn't get it all, did I, Randy?
One person on a board, a solid waste board, does not make any decision
You
for
know
the entire
what,
board.
one person, you,
No.
the one person,
No, yeah, that's inappropriate. That is completely inappropriate. That, there's a lot of false accusations there, and that needs to be cleared up, so we can.
Next item.
One person on any board does not make a decision. So to accuse Commissioner Cole that he made a decision for the entire solid waste board is completely inaccurate and unsubstantiated. There is an entire board that makes a decision. At any given time, any member of that solid waste board could have voted and said, send the bill, and they didn't do it. That's the truth.
You can have an interview.
Okay, next, Jeff.
And I'm sorry, I know you have an item on LIT later. I don't know if I should speak then because my comments are regarding that agenda item.
You can come forward.
I'm happy to present it now because I just have a statement. I will be brief. I have no accusations to throw at anybody.
That's great.
Thank you all. I'm Jeff Hagedorn. I'm the city attorney for the city of Tell City. I didn't put my address, office address, 644 12th Street. Yogi Berra, boy, deja vu all over again. Since the last county council meeting regarding the Perry County local local income tax matter, representatives for the city of Tell City reached out to members of the Perry County Council, expressing a willingness to meet and discuss these issues. To my knowledge, no response was received regarding this offer. Instead, it is my understanding that the Perry County Council sought a legal opinion regarding the legality of the process they had thus far undertaken to unilaterally amend the county LIT rates and redirect edit funds that had previously been allocated to the municipal units in the county. It is my understanding that they've received updated legal advice indicating that the process they have followed is correct. This conclusion is outdated and simply wrong. The beginning point for any discussion regarding these matters lies in answering the question of which entity has the authority to modify local income tax rates or allocation of various local income taxes. As I previously indicated a few weeks ago, this authority lies with the Perry County Income Tax Council, excuse me, which consists of the fiscal body of the county and the fiscal body of each city or town that lies either partially or entirely within the county. That body includes the Perry County Council, the Tell City Common Council, the Cannleton Common Council, and the Troy Town Board. Under the Indiana Code, specifically Indiana Code Section 6.637, the adopting body, which is the Perry County Tax Council, must provide a notice to all taxing units in the county, which would be Tell City, Cannleton, and Troy, at least 10 days prior to a public hearing. The referenced public hearing would then be held by the adopting body, the Perry County Tax Council, and not the County Council. If the adopting body makes any fiscal decision that has a financial impact on an underlying local tax unit, such as a decision that dramatically reduces the amount of edit funding to that taxing unit, then the notice from the adopting body must be provided by August 1st of that year. And I note the notice from the adopting body. Simply put, the Perry County Tax Council has not been involved in these matters at all. To my knowledge, the Perry County Tax Council has not met in 2024. No notices of public meetings required under the Indiana Open Door Law have been posted regarding any meetings of the Perry County Tax Council. No notices have been provided by the Perry County Tax Council to the City of Tell City regarding any proposal to modify lit rates. It is August 29th, 2024, so it is absolutely impossible for the Perry County Tax Council to comply with Indiana Code Section 6.637 in 2024. That in and of itself should end this discussion until after January 1st, 2025. But if we must go further, please consider this. Under the Indiana Code, there are 100 votes total for the entire Perry County Tax Council. Each member has a percentage of votes based on their population. On or before January 1st of each year, the county auditor must certify the number of votes to each member, rounded to 0.01. To my knowledge, no such certification was completed in 2024, so it is unclear how the votes of the Perry County Tax Council would be divided, even if the Perry County Tax Council had complied with the notice requirements, which it has not. It is impossible to determine how the final vote would turn out, because we don't know how the voting percentages of Perry County Tax Council are weighted. And since the county auditor did not certify the number of votes allocated to each member of Perry County Tax Council on or before January 1st, 2024, it is no longer possible to certify that allocation for 2024. We do not have a timely resolution, nor can we assume how the votes would have occurred. Of course, this is all moot since the Perry County Tax Council has not provided any notices or conducted any public hearings. Should the county council choose to ignore the requirements of the Indiana Code and adopt an ordinance amending the county LIT allocation, pursuant to the Indiana Code, that ordinance would then be submitted to the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance for review. The Department of Local Government Finance would then notify the county within 30 days of whether the department has received the information required by the department. Since the principal requirement is that the action be taken by the Perry County Tax Council and not the Perry County Council, it should stand that the Department of Local Government Finance will indicate that they have not received the required information from the county. If that happens, the amendment to the LIT tax allocation will not be effective. It is my understanding that the Department of Local Government Finance has already indicated that the appropriate adopting body for Perry County is the Perry County Tax Council. So I see no way that the department would accept an ordinance from an inappropriate adopting body with no prior notice or vote requirements met and allow the ordinance to take effect. There will likely be references to past instances in which the county council has modified the county LIT rates. It's very likely that the counties failed to comply with these requirements in the past. It's even possible that the Department of Local Government Finance did not reject past ordinances that were not appropriately adopted. Notwithstanding those past instances, the current process is not in accordance with the Indiana Code. The City of Tell City objects to this unauthorized process. If the county council moves forward with this process, the city will lodge those objections with the Department of Local Government Finance. The city will pursue all of its legal options to ensure that the process for amending the LIT allocation is handled appropriately. If that includes future litigation, the city is prepared to take that step. I hope that this factual and statutory guide will assist in providing clarity on why any changes will have to wait until 2025 and make any future steps by the city completely unnecessary. Thank you.
It is our understanding that any member of the tax council can introduce the ordinance. And as a member of the tax council, Perry County introduced the ordinance. We held a public hearing. We notified the city of Tennessee, the city council, the town of Troy. I have here from Mr. Phil Stevenson, and he totally is the opposite of what you're saying.
I think we have to go by what our attorney says.
Who said this?
Jeff Jones.
Yes.
When we left the last meeting, I thought it was the understanding that your all's lawyers were supposed to be getting with their lawyers and working this out. From what I'm hearing, the lawyers haven't talked, have they?
Well, I don't know, but Rod.
I'm just.
My understanding was there was a challenge to what we were doing the process, and then we were to speak to our legal counsel, which I believe David reached out to our legal counsel, who abstained or recused himself because he's also the legal counsel for the city of Cannleton. So then David reached out to a different legal counsel and got this opinion that we're doing this correctly.
Hey, David, on May 5th or May 30th, I've got a copy of the minutes because I think the legal opinion that this David's saying is from an attorney that Data Pit Stop sent you to.
Mhm.
We made a vote that you were going to consult with Baker Tilly on this.
I did.
And then now all of a sudden you're with Data Pit Stop.
Well, for one thing,
I
Data
mean,
Pit Stop, we have a contract
You
with them.
didn't like what the lawyer
It
told
doesn't
you
cost anything.
at the Baker Tilly, so we,
Baker Tilly told me that it was all right.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
is
talk
this,
to a lawyer.
is this lawyer going to
I'm
charge
gonna talk
us?
to a lawyer at Baker Tilly.
Is this lawyer that you got this legal?
Not to my
record?
knowledge. No. And I will tell you what he,
And I thought also that you had talked to the DGIF.
Yes.
That but how come you just didn't go back to them? Why'd you
we
go to
did
this
go back to
attorney?
them. We
Well,
did go back to them.
where's their writing?
Emily Chrysler also agreed with Rod Akioto that what we had done procedurally was correct.
Then why
Emily
did we
Chrysler-
have to go to another lawyer for it?
Why do we have to go to another? Because I had never gotten a written opinion from Rod in writing, other than he voiced it to me.
Did you get ready for the DLGF?
I don't recall.
Maybe we'll have to hold Rod's check this month.
Well, maybe so. But I will tell you, I will read what he said. He says, I have reviewed all your proposed documents. Actually, I agree with both your county attorney and the city attorney. It is of course correct that before the ordinance is effective, the other members of your tax council are to be given the right to vote. But I understand the county has more than 51 votes on their own, which is enough to pass the ordinance, even if everyone else votes in the negative. In fact, IC 6-3.6-38D provides that if before the elapse of 30 days, the county auditor receives more than 50% of the vote, the auditor can notify the other members that they need not even vote. However, having said that, I would still recommend going through the process. IC 6-3.6-38B indicates the member must adopt a resolution to propose the ordinance to the local income tax council and distribute a copy of the proposed ordinance to the county auditor. You seem to have passed the proposed ordinance, but I did not see any resolution to propose the ordinance to the local income tax council. What I have generally done is a resolution, something along the lines of the attached. I then inserted language in my ordinance which would indicate that the ordinance would become effective on receiving 51 votes. Since you have already prepared the ordinance, I simply put that provision in the proposed resolution. There's nothing within the statute which specifically indicates that as a requirement. But I didn't want any question of the ordinance needing to come back to the council and once the entities had an opportunity to vote. At the time of our last change, I represented not only the county council, but also a city council and a couple of other towns in our community. So I sent out a proposed resolution for the other members of the tax council just to make it easier. Again, not required by the statute. Otherwise, it appears to me that you have followed the statute up to this point. Plus, I think you can do all of this in one meeting. You will be passing the ordinance on the second reading and the resolution would need only one reading. Also, you have already completed your public hearing, so, but I believe once you have passed these, the auditor can forward these along to the other members of the tax council. So I don't know. What?
You have not.
What?
The Perry County Tax Council has not done that. Perry County Tax Council has not sent notice to anybody.
Well, we're a member of the tax council. We introduced the ordinance.
Just asked who the tax council was, and she's on it, and she doesn't know.
I don't know.
When is it, do you know when they've ever met?
They met in the 90s.
Did they vote? Did they vote to get this 51%?
That's what the resolution would be introduced tonight for them to vote.
For them to vote?
Yes,
For the
they have
tax
30
council?
days.
Well, we vote and then it would go to them. If it passes here, it would go to them. If they want to vote, they can, but if,
The auditor,
Technically, it
has
says
not
first.
certified the amounts of the weighted votes. You don't even have that. You don't know who has the majority of votes.
We've always
I know
went
you're
with
supposed to.
the most recent census. This has always been
I
done.
mean, I-
Nothing,
You know,
nothing's
but
been
how it's
done, so
It just hasn't.
Well,
it
that's,
has been done, so I couldn't do it.
we have to.
You can't
I
backdate
think we have to
today,
go
you
by
can't
our
go back
legal
and
counsel.
backdate. I guess you
And
could,
that's what the
it's
legal
yours.
counsel says is what we, and if there's a discrepancy, then
I don't have.
that's all we have to go by is what the legal counsel said.
I thought this had to be done by August 1st.
it was. The notice had to be provided before August 1st. It was. And Amy Chrysler from General Counsel GTLF assured us that you don't have to worry about August 1st. You're okay there. Go ahead and just do this at your regular meeting on the 22nd. That's what they were
Do
saying.
you have that from her, or you can show them that?
Did she
No.
assure you of that since your last meeting? You know,
Since the last
you know what
meeting.
I've got from him? Yeah.
From them.
No, I have no
I
idea
think her
what you got.
opinion has changed.
What'd you say?
I said, I have no idea what you have from her. What do you think I said?
From Emily?
From Emily.
What do you have?
I'll read it. I concur with
Chris, can
that.
you go up here?
Is this counted my public comments?
Well, because the microphone.
No, I
if you're
mean,
from-
I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna read this, but since you guys are questioning Emily, which I don't think is fair to throw Emily under the bus on this. I think in that last meeting that you misrepresented Emily.
No,
No.
absolutely did not.
That's how I feel. I have the right to
That's not
feel how I feel, right?
true. That's true, but you weren't on the phone call and we did not misrepresent Emily.
But anyways, it says, I concur with Becca's outline in this, and it says, I was able to speak with the attorney working with Perry County a few minutes ago. During our conversation, I clarified that the question raised by the county were not related to who the appropriate authority would be for the lit ordinance adoption in Perry County. I relayed to him that the department's records confirmed that Perry County is a co-ed county, and the adopted body listed in our records would be the local income tax council. By the end of our call, he seemed to understand both departments' roles regarding the local income tax ordinance and adoption, as well as the appropriate authority to adopt the lit ordinance for Perry County.
Who was that attorney that she talked to?
Who is what,
The
that
one
she
that
talked
you were
to?
referencing, she talked to our
That
attorney.
is with
Who was
Ana.
that? That's not our attorney.
No, our attorney. Oh, your attorney, Rod Acciardo.
Okay, so she talked to Rod Arqueado.
Rod reached
But
out to her.
he did not relay that to us.
How come Rod hasn't been showing up to any meetings?
Really don't.
So I just want to share. I'm just trying to help you guys out, and I don't want to see this blow up in something litigation or bad. I'm sure you guys don't
I
either.
understand. You have an attorney with an interpretation.
Yes.
We have one that has a different interpretation.
We don't
have
have
to go
one
by
because we
what
haven't showed up.
we think's right.
Okay, I just, is it time for my public comments, or are we still this? Because I've got public comments related to something that Chris talked about earlier.
You can go ahead.
I want to thank you, Chris, for your transparency with the LAO system. That's right, it's a LAO system that you've allowed, or not you've allowed, but the tax council and the county council, I'm sorry, commissioners have access to it. I think it's great that you all get to check over that. I really do. I do find it, I agree with you, I find it kind of sad that, if somebody has a question, they can't just come ask you, but they got to anonymously turn it into the State Board of Accounts or whatever, like it's a witch hunt or something, I don't know. But
Who are you recommending who are you saying did that?
I didn't say anybody.
Okay.
I never mentioned
Because
that.
it was, insinuated that it was someone here. So it very well could be someone outside of here. So I just want to clarify that.
Sure, yeah, don't make assumptions, but
No,
okay.
yeah, that's correct.
But it's unfortunate because it's costing the taxpayers by some of these anonymous tips that may be false, and it sounds like some of them have been, quite a few actually, a tremendous amount of money. Do you have any idea at this point what that may be estimated?
Our exit with the State Board of Accounts is set for September 12th. After September 12th, I could share more information on that, but I cannot share anything until after the conference. But I have been told by the State Board of Accounts that they are going to do an invoice for what would be in their regular spectrum of their audit, and the amount of additional time that had to have been spent. They're going to set that as a separate. I have asked them at our exit I want every question that was asked to be read and the findings to be listed, if there were findings. Because I take these audits and information as a helping hand. I think the auditors are there to help you to better your systems. They do work closely with the auditor and department heads, so to help them better any systems they have. So more of that information on that, which I know that,
We don't have an estimate yet as
No.
far as what it's going to cost the taxpayers for some of that.
not yet, no.
All right. Let's see here. Got my notes a little bit everywhere. And again, I just want to reiterate your willingness to work with the council and try to help them. And
It's everybody,
I really think
anybody
it's
that.
great. It's nice to see the team effort, and that's why I'm complimenting you
It's
all.
county, it's residents, anything. I have tons of people that stop in our office and ask information, both public, council members, commissioners, it's open, that it's public record. And I just wish, everybody would, not wish, I hope that everybody just understands my door's open. If you have any questions, there are certain things that I'm not allowed to share, and I know what those are. You've called asking me questions, and it's public record, so I'm going to give you those answers. If it's something I can't give, then it's not. So yes, absolutely.
Sure. Question that came up when Chris Wheeler, with the former employee of the solid waste, she said that Randy had fired her. Is that right? Who fired her? Who fired Chris Wheeler?
It's a personal thing, it's outside his meeting.
Okay. Well, I was formerly on the solid waste board, and they talk about this one person having power to fire someone. Just who did it? Okay, if it's personal, I understand. I won't question that. At the last meeting, we talked about, and I kind of brought up, I don't remember what reference I used, but moving money around with some of this edit funds to fund the EMS services, the jail funds, and what have you. I'd asked if you had funded a certain amount one year, like in 2024, were you going to fund that same amount in 25 on top of what you would receive if this would pass tonight? So you have to schedule, and this is a question for Chris, you have to submit to the DLGF a Form 3, right?
Mhm.
And when is that due?
Tomorrow.
So you have 1 day to fill in, or whatever needs to be done, right?
Correct.
You gonna be able to do that?
I will get it done. Has to be done by midnight tomorrow.
Chris is here working late. Somebody bring her a coffee. In your 2024, in the commissioner's budget, how much was allocated or put in that when it was submitted?
For which items?
Let's just start with the ambulance service. Any idea?
There was $215,000 budgeted in 2023 3, currently the requested amount for ambulance services is 0.
Why is there 0?
That's the number I got.
From who?
It's out of the commissioner's budget.
My question is, if we need the ambulance service, which I agree, I'm not disagreeing, if you need the money so bad, why is it 0 when it was 215 the year before, and now it's 0 being submitted?
I think it's because he was waiting for how this text was going to work out, the modification. That's a no-brainer. You should be able to
But
understand that.
to me, well, I can understand math quite well, thank you, but if you're gonna take if you really need the money.
It wasn't 215, it was 275.
250 was out of commissioners and 60 was out of public
It
safety.
was 215 and
Well, what I'm getting at here is, if you say it's such a dire need, which I won't disagree that you need to improve
yeah,
stuff
they've
like
already
that.
used that already in 6 months.
Right,
Two and
but-
6 months.
So why would, if they already use it in 6 months, why would you not leave the number you just said, those 2 or 3 that's been moved around or whatever, and then put this money on top of it? Why would it say 0 and not choose something now and then throw this on top of it? Why would that 0 be there then, to start out?
Because
asking us
he's
questions.
waiting until he
Who's
knew
he?
how, the commissioners.
Oh,
He,
said he.
Rebecca, Randy, Clevie.
okay. I'm just, my point I'm getting at is that I don't want to see this funding, and I'd ask it as the last question. I think Kelly, you'd answered it. But I don't want to see this money, if this passes tonight, be reallocated for things, it's basically, I would call it a shell game. All right, you're going to take 215, zero that out, or make it a lesser amount, maybe you can only put 50 in there. And now you've got this edit money coming in there, so you take that difference and put it towards solid waste or towards other funds in general that would be probably eligible for it. But if you truly need it, what I challenge you guys to do, and I'm challenging the council,
We truly need it.
well, if you good, you're on board then. I've got one.
We
If you need it,
money
I
for
would challenge you,
emergency.
whatever was in it in 24, put it back in 25 and put this edit, if you pass this tonight, right on top of it.
We'll have to decide that during our budget session.
Yeah.
What's going
I'm just
to
saying,
happen with that.
if you truly need it and it's that dire, then if that's the case, then you took too much edit.
Last year, the hospital requested 800,000.
Not true.
That's what their budget was.
What's this, how it was
800,000
perceived?
for-
How much of that was for equipment though, David?
I think it was like, was it 300?
And they got, what, over $500,000, well, with the new truck and ambulance stuff, and which they needed. Without a doubt, they needed. But we
And
got
part of
that
this
taken
is we
care of.
want to be able to set aside
with
money to
ARP.
properly plan for the future for that equipment and those expenses. So it may not all be used in one year. It may be set aside for things. So when we need a new ambulance, we have $250,000, $300,000. When we need new cardiac monitors, we have $120,000. It's not a catastrophe. We need it all right now, $775,000 today. That's what's been going on. And that's not the way this needs to flow. We want to properly plan for the future.
And I can tell you that's exactly what Tell City's been doing.
Okay, great.
But now we won't be able to.
Why not?
Because we've been putting edit funds back for years.
Okay, then why don't you raise taxes on the people of Tell City and get that money? I mean, you wanted us to raise taxes in the county.
Did I say what?
Well, no, it was said they wanted.
Facts matter. Did I say raise taxes? And I'm raising my voice, because I don't want words
It
put
was
in my mouth, sir.
Forth in the other meeting, yes, not you.
Then don't, then you
Well,
address
but I'm
me.
saying, no.
You need to apologize to him. Don't look at me and
I
say
did
that,
not
Stan.
put words in your mouth.
You just did. You said you
No, I did not.
That is, okay.
Well, you're not always correct.
Well, you know what, makes two of us. So I have a question for you, David. I sent an email to you on August the 13th, asking for the update of this. And you respectfully replied back on August the 15th.
Right.
And I appreciate that. However, your last paragraph, unfortunately, some counselors and others had other intentions. So vote ended up being tabled. And here we are, not knowing yet, as a vote has not occurred. We will inform you as soon as we have answers, and we'll schedule a meeting in a time. What's missing in that sentence? That we will inform you as soon as possible. This is me as mayor again.
Right.
I showed up at your meeting in July asking for communications. I received zero from you. So I showed up at your meeting August 6th after the meeting. I reached out to you a week later. It was a busy week for all of us. Right.
Right.
We got a lot going on. Being respectful everyone's time. I'm getting no responses again.
I did not know anything until fairly recent
When?
on this.
This email was 8/27, that we finally got hold of some attorney that will give us direction. Rod bowed out on us, and because of
I
conflict.
did work with Rod, but it's like a 2-week period trying to get something out. And then he finally said that he would, he thought it prudent that he recused himself due to the fact that he being the county council attorney and also the city council attorney. And since they were one of the affected units.
August 26th. Okay. You could have picked up the phone and called.
I could call you that.
The other thing, which we still need to talk about, is the joint meeting. I was hoping to have it tonight at 4 o'clock, and there was going to be a council member or two not here, and you wanted them to be here for that. And I find it interesting, you want them to be there for that, but not for this. But that's okay. We'll get to that meeting. And but again, communication, please, council, please, David. And I reach out to you because you're the president. And I feel like that's the appropriate person. But I'm going to go back a little bit on what Jeff, our city attorney, read just a few minutes ago. At the last meeting, and this is from the DLGF, this is the Department of Local Government and Finance, okay? And I know you've worked with Robert Norris, I think you'd mentioned back in July. He's our person for the area or district, whichever. And this council, are you all aware, this council, that you are not the Perry County Tax Council? Is that correct?
We're members.
We're a member of it.
You're a member, but you're not the authority over it. You are not the only ones on it.
We're not the only
I
ones
didn't
on
know I
it.
was on it at all.
Well, I didn't either till a couple months ago. But
But when we do vote, the ordinance essentially passes
why?
because we have the over 50.1% of the vote.
Okay, if you were to vote, would you vote in favor of it?
No.
It's not based on the individuals. It's based on the majority of the vote.
The majority vote. So what if other people voted nay?
It wouldn't pass.
Right. If you had a tax council, you have 51%, you're assuming all 51% would vote yay, right?
No, 51% of this adopting body, this board.
It would
I mean,
be-
we're
it
not
would just-
51%. We account for 51%. This is, the council would have to vote on that. Just like Tell City, County, and Troy are parts of that, and they would vote on that.
And is Branchville's population included in that?
Yes. But we
They
can't change
don't
it.
pay in, but
It's
they're
included in the
included.
census.
It's included in the census, but
That's correct.
does that figure go into it
Yeah,
for?
it has in the past, whenever I looked.
Because if you remove the Branchville population,
Yeah.
you don't have the majority there.
Absolutely
You just
not.
can't pick and choose. It has to, whatever
Right.
the census is, it is. We don't make those rules, so.
I'm just asking.
Would a
I understand
non-paying group be included in?
Would what?
They're
Yeah,
counted as
them-
residents.
It's
in Suffolk
population.
County.
What I'm saying is, I feel like, and maybe I'm misunderstanding you. If I am, I apologize, but 51%, you don't know how everybody's necessarily going to vote. The last meeting, Gail had questions and he voted to table, and so did Erla and Paul and Keith did.
I'm just saying, once that we take a vote on the ordinance,
Yeah.
technically it's a moot point, is all
Okay.
I'm saying.
Okay.
If it's approved, or well, either way.
Right. So we've got half this understood. And so we were aware this is a Coet County. We addressed that at the last meeting. You are Coet County. Do we all agree? Okay. So now I'm going to go back to this next PowerPoint that I got. This is a 2023 legislative overview. It's got Emily, who you spoke with. It's got several people I believe you all have maybe had conversations with. Turn to page 62 on this, section 75 to 78. Whenever a county adopting body makes any physical decisions that has a financial impact on the underlying local taxing unit, the decision and the notice to the affecting local taxing units must happen by August 1st.
And it did.
No.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, with the initial
Yes, it
public
did.
hearing
Nope.
on July.
Let's go
22nd.
back. This is the body is the tax council. You are not the tax council. You're a part of it, but you are not the tax council.
We're a member of the tax.
So is Tell City. But what I'm saying is, it has to be done by the tax council. You're a member of it, but you're not the chief of it. You're a member. You may have a majority, but it doesn't make you rule the roost and nobody else matters. Everybody has a seat at the table unless you're on the menu.
You do have a right to vote.
Well, clearly we don't,
Yes, you do.
because you're saying you notified us. The letter I received from you, the email, was from you, David Asian, Perry County Council President.
Right.
Not Tax Council, Perry County Tax Council. So that notice that you sent me is invalid. Because it is. It is. And I'm going to go to the next page to tell you why it's invalid. All right. If this notice is not provided, which it wasn't, the county adopting body must readopt a subsequential ordinance. The subsequential ordinance is subject to the statutory as the date is adopted. So it means the deadlines, you didn't meet the deadlines. If you want to do this, David, the right way, and this council truly wants to show they want to work with Tell City, Troy, Hamilton, and everybody that's here in this room, you really want to step up as leaders and show this. You can wait till January 1st, 2025. We can sit down as a tax council. We can work together on a budget, the needs and wants of EMS and all these things, and really see what's best for the counties, the cities as a whole, rather than come in and, turn over the apple cart and Tell City, Carrollton, I don't know how the heck they're going to make it.
Oh, that's why I came here.
I'm glad you get to talk next, sorry, at some point.
Yeah.
But I really feel sorry for them. I mean, Tell City will manage. We'll get creative in our funding. And we will, prioritize, I think. But the county's not do the same. And you did get creative. You came into Tell City and County Troy's well without even bringing us a seat at the table.
Do you believe your residents of Tell City, Hamilton, and Troy should help pay for those critical services that are required by the state? They should help pay for the EMS, the dispatch, and the jail operations?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that we should adequately fund those things so that our residents, including the residents of Tell City, Hamilton, and Troy, have adequate service and have proper service when they call and they have up-to-date equipment so that they're not, ambulances aren't breaking down on the road? Do you believe that?
I've answered that question at the last two meetings. And I'll answer it again this week.
It's easy to say that, but then we have to do
Absolutely.
something about it.
Did you not hear what I just said? I said, let's sit down January 1st and have a seat at the table and talk about it and work that together. Of course I do, Kelly. My dad broke his legs and he had to get an ambulance from Crawford County. You don't think I don't want better ambulance service for us? There ain't one person in this room that wouldn't want that. There ain't one.
Then we have to prioritize needs over wants. That's
Absolutely.
what has to
But
happen.
Tell City and Troy and County residents are paying for that service currently. As a Tell City resident, we are a Perry County resident. We pay a county tax.
And it's not enough.
So you're
Not
gonna
enough
take,
funding.
you're gonna take more than out of Tell City's pot. No?
There's
Am I hearing
not
you?
enough funding to adequately provide these services. We're not funding them properly, so they're falling apart. I mean, that's why our ambulance fleet looks like it does. That's why our ambulance equipment and EMS equipment looks like it did. That's why we had to spend $775,000 to try to bring it up to date. And we still need more. There's still other issues, and then we have to plan for the future.
I won't disagree with you on that. I hope you don't
That
think,
extra funding came from the ARP fund, by the way.
sure.
And I'm glad we had that, because if we didn't have that, we would really be in a situation. So all we're
We'd be
going
in
to
a
do
hell of a
is plan
shape
for
if the hospital wouldn't have wrote off.
all we're going to do is
200-some-thousand
properly
to buy an
plan for the
ambulance.
future.
I
All we're
agree.
going to do is properly plan for the future so that we don't get in this shape again. And we're asking that everyone is a part of that.
And you have a plan now for the future?
What do you mean?
You said you want to plan for the future. Do you have a plan now to plan for the future? Your comprehensive plan was adopted in 2017, so that's already out of date.
I believe it was 2015 and I wasn't
Oh,
here, so.
15's even 10 years old
Yeah.
almost. Okay. I would encourage you guys to get with Indiana 15 to work on updating that soon then. But
There's a lot of things that we need to work on because there's a lot of neglect in this county and there's been a lot of neglect in this county and we are working on those things. So you can't fix everything overnight, but we're taking things one thing at a time,
Sure.
and we're trying to do critical things that are very important
Sure.
to all residents, that affect all residents.
But you don't have a plan yet as far as, you're going to get this extra funding, you're going to put some in a reserve account, so when you need something, you'll have it.
We have to look at that, how much and what the years are and all those
But
type of things.
Has there been any preliminary numbers pulled to know if your 400 and some odd thousand of this, 400 or some odd of that is enough even, or too much, or, Kelly, you're a facts, you're a number person, you're a data person, you're a researcher, and I appreciate that. But has any of that been done yet for this?
Yeah, we looked it over. Now, we don't know, this is a trial and error thing. We have to see what we're gonna be able to bring in, what this actually will bring in, because as you know, that fluctuates, different things. And so there's a lot of factors in this. So we have to look, we have to start somewhere. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road and say, well, we'll just deal with it next year, or maybe the next year, or maybe the next council, or maybe whoever's elected next can handle it. That's how we've gotten in this position.
I won't
It
disagree.
is a mess.
I won't disagree with you on some of that. You served on Tell City's comprehensive plan, and we wanted to do the sports complex and several other things. You supported on there. You helped craft the future of Tell City, with that. And your ideas are in there, and a lot of people's are. And, I do think it's important to have that plan and plan for the future. But, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. It's just a shame that the communication barrier doesn't exist between Tell City and the county. To receive that email, and then I know Cannleton got theirs, and then Troy got theirs after that, without a heads up phone call, was the wrong thing to do. And it really upset me for a moment, and I calmed down quite a bit, but it bothers me that the county doesn't feel they can pick up the phone and call us and have a set down. David, you wouldn't even sit down with Connie and I unless there was one or two other council members present.
More effective.
They don't even sit down as a council and have a work session. I know I had a conversation with David a couple weeks ago that I think it's great. There's a group of about 4 people that meet and they brainstorm and they get all these ideas and bounce questions off of each other, and everybody has the opportunity to ask these questions that did this local income tax, discuss this local income tax modification. They were given the opportunities to ask questions amongst the 4, but there never was a work session with the council. It was just brought to the meeting. I don't understand the lack of work sessions. I completely understand public transparency, completely get it. But I'm new to county government in year 2, but the lack of work sessions, that is a problem. I feel that this group of 4 that got together, brought up this lit modification, was able to brainstorm, ask questions, should have had a work session with their council, with their teammates, and said, hey, we've thought about this idea. Let me bounce it off to you guys. Give them the opportunity to ask the questions. Then, go to your city, go to your towns and talk about that. I don't think the way this was done should have been done in a big county, let alone a small county. I'm not saying this lit modification is bad, because I'm not saying that. But the way it's been done is not right. It's not right in a big county, and it's not right in a small county. To have this animosity and this tension between Tell City, Hamilton, Troy, we're family, guys. That's what Perry County is. And we can't keep going on like this. There needs to be more roundtable discussions. There needs to be more work sessions instead of a small group being able to ask questions and without a camera in front of them, and the rest of the council not being able to have that opportunity.
Chris, you're exactly right. This has divided the county with city and Tell City and Cannleton and Troy, I'm sure. And it didn't have to go that way. You started this May 29th, is that correct? Is that the first, May 30th meeting? Was that the first time anything was brought up?
Discuss,
Yeah, it was item D, reallocation of tax to specific tax components, which most people probably wouldn't even understand what on earth that means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it's misleading, but it's a little bit of a far stretch of the true thing. But I mean, and then you actually, when you had your meeting, you explained the edit stuff. But if somebody just looked at the agenda, they may not have known what that meant. But you're exactly right. We are friends. We're family, we're neighbors. I mean, Kelly, you live next door to me, and I think that this has divided us. You won't call, you
Not
won't
not
say,
this hasn't divided us, there's other things, but.
well, but Skin, you won't even wave or I don't know. That's regardless. But the point is,
We could get into that if you want to.
We ain't got that much
We ain't got
time.
that much time, probably. But anyways,
I'm about ready to wrap this up.
yeah, I think so. But again, I'm going to reiterate, if I can speak right here, I'm sorry, but that the tax council is the authority that should have notified the taxing units, which is Tell City, Troy, and County, and even Perry County itself, by August 1st deadline. That failed to do so. Your notification from the council, to me, does not suffice that service because there is more than just the council on that taxing thing. So your service is behind. Your next date you can do this is January 1st, 2025 legally. I have had discussions with the DLGF off and on, and if this is to pass tonight, I will move forward with sending them all the emails and information I have, because obviously they would still have to give it the final stamp, I guess you would say. The last thing I want to see is this turn into a litigation. Now, the county is in how many lawsuits now, Chris, roughly? 4? I don't think you want to add 3 more on top of that. That's if Councilor Troy, I can't speak for them, but, we don't want that to happen. And again, all this could have been avoided. Working together. Had May 30th happened that next day, May 31st or whatever, that's a Sunday, I don't know what day of the week it was, you called up us and called that tax council together. They could have met, you could have met your deadline. There would have been none of this animosity. The monkey falls on your back. You're the president. If you talked about it and was going to do it, you should have looked into it further like I did. I had to educate myself on this a lot. If I told you how many hours I spent on this and got paid, I'd be.
Do you think we didn't? Do you think people of this council didn't?
It doesn't
They just
appear.
said, oh, we'll just do whatever we want, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do because you got to
That's
see.
wrong. That's wrong.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, I spent a lot of hours on this, actually.
Good.
So,
I'm glad to hear that. So I'm glad one of you did.
Yeah.
In 2015, if you go back and look at the minutes, when the public safety tax was passed,
Mhm.
the then county attorney Jim Tyler, if you read the minutes,
Got him.
he specifically says that 52.3% is the county, and they passed it that night, and I don't think he ever said anything to you.
And so let me ask you.
It wasn't wrong.
So
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
let me ask you this.
No,
If you got
This guy says-
if you drove 75 miles an hour on 30, if you drove 75 miles an hour on 37 on Monday and you didn't get pulled over, but you drove it today and got pulled over, you're going to tell the state trooper that, well, I did it on Monday, so I'm good.
I'm not.
So
Well, you'll probably write your 2 tickets in reckless driving. I think.
here's my question.
As they should.
So you have the city of Tell City's attorney has an interpretation. The
Yeah.
lawyer that David reached out to has a different interpretation.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, if we vote on this tonight, I don't know if it'll pass or it won't pass, but if it would pass, then you say it will go to the DLGF and they'll have to have all the required documentation. And if they determine that it cannot pass, then something wasn't correct, then
Will you guys apologize and admit you're wrong if that happens?
no, because we are going by what our attorney is saying to do. We're not doing anything on our own
So
free
then,
will just because we want to.
this
We're
attorney-
being directed just like
this-
you're being directed.
This attorney, Philip Stevenson, I've looked him up and who he works for and his law firm. He's probably a great guy. But when I read his descriptions of his specialties, this doesn't fall into it. I see nothing but municipal law in there. So,
You're not even paying for it. Well, you're not paying for it.
I mean, again, and I know there's going to be probably a long Facebook post later, rhetoric and 12 pages long like they are, and accusing me of saying stuff and false narratives and fake news and whatever. But, at the end of the day, I want to work with you guys on stuff. And I'm just going to reiterate, call me, email me. I'm not this bad person. I'm not trying to get up here and be a jerk and be hateful. I'm passionate about my city. I love my city. I love all of our residents, whether they voted for me or not. Whether they love me or hate me, I still treat them all the same, respect them all, because I love them all to death. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to make Tell City, which improves Perry County, because it's part of it, the best place to live. The best place for people to come and enjoy their quality of life. And I'd say that's my goal. And we all would hope to share that goal. I hope you all do. I'd like to think you would. So thank you all for your time tonight. I do hope you consider some of the things that the city attorney has said and some of our legal opinions that we have gotten. You know, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes at the end of it.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have John Collins.
I'm John Paulin, City Clerk of Cowlton, and it sounds like we've got a mess on our hands. But the one thing I can't say for Cowlton is Cowlton cannot afford to lose that edit money. It's different than Tell City, maybe the county, I don't know, but this isn't a reserve for us. Our general's different. Yeah, our edit money is our general. I worked with a lady yesterday for our budget. It's a firm that been doing it for 30 years, I guess, and that's what they do is clerk budgeting, stuff like that. And I learned a lot from her last night just doing it. And it's just, it'd be devastating. And I know, Kelly, you're our representative. It would devastate Cowlton. It's different, tells me it's not a reserve. It's just not. We pay some of our people out, our street lights. And we all know Cowlton. Anybody in Cowlton, come on, we all know what we get to HUD people, or we, you know, I'm sorry, we don't get general money. We get very little. And it's amazing what we get. We just don't get a lot. And we actually got to take some of our money that we have, it's at now, and we're going to put some of that in our general just to go. I mean, somehow we got to get more money, and we don't know how to do it. If you take our edit money away, I don't know what we're going to do. I really don't. And I'll be more than happy to show you the books. And so, Gail, I hope you don't vote that way. And same thing as you said, I just maybe make another year. I don't know. And I know everybody's saying raising taxes, and I know sometimes we say we're not going to raise taxes, we're going to raise taxes. And everybody's afraid to say raise taxes, but I guess I'm not. You're in a business, you cut back your cost, you cut back your expenses, and that's all you can do. And the only thing you do is raise your prices on your product you're selling, or unfortunately, as a government, you got to raise your taxes. I mean, I don't know what to say. But I know for accountants, we can't afford it. We can't afford it.
So here's the problem, Mark, sorry. We can't charge, like, we can't exclude someone and carve someone out and say, well, because you don't think you can afford it, we can't, your residents don't have to pay their portion of these services. We can't do that.
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you.
That's what this is. This is for the residents of Hamilton, Tell City, Troy, and Perry County to pay their share of these services.
I understand. Now, what would you like? What would you guys like for Hamilton to cut out? Because this ain't a reserve, like you said. You said you're putting this money back to build for the future for a reserve. Same thing, Chris. You're built
to buy our fire truck.
And like Chris said, we were putting this back for reserve. This isn't a reserve for us. I'm saying it's different, and you guys haven't thought about that. And my question is, what would you guys like for us to cut off? You want to cut our street lights off? A police officer? What would you like for me to cut? Because we don't have the reserve. You heard the word reserve. We all hear the reserve? I'm not telling you reserve. And I love being transparent. Anybody want to say anything about the clerk? Oh, thank you. I love you. She's great. She is.
Yeah.
I mean, she really is. We don't play Democrat, Republican. We don't play it, not the clerk. And we love being transparent. And I'll show you all anything you want to see. But we don't have, this is not a reserve. You are devastating Hamilton voting yes on this. You really are. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't. But I know as a clerk, I know anytime they have a tax, we were talking about these groups, the clerks should be involved in this, for sure. Because, we do, but this should not pass tonight.
I don't live in the county. Nope. The city doesn't pay for my desk to go online. If you live in the city, it might cost you a little more. I don't know. You said, should we shut the street?
The city does pay for streetlights.
Nobody pays for my desk to go online.
I mean, fire hydrants, it pays for everything. We pay for electricity, or utilities. I'm saying
Those are city services should be picked up by the city. I'm just saying, the way I see it.
So you're saying city tax, you should have city tax.
It should be, we all use the ambulance, but I don't see how paying for candles and streetlights should be coming out of me.
That example.
Out of what?
But we all drive the streets.
Being, you were just saying an example.
Well, they're city
What do you want us to cut out? Cut rid of the police officer?
But it's a
I mean, I
math equation. Somebody's gonna have to work it out. I pay a lot of taxes already. I don't know if I can stand it.
And John, your answer is that May 31st date, David could have picked up that phone or that email and sent, call you to work together. That would have solved this problem. It boils down to the time that didn't happen.
Well, ask us first if we can afford it. Like I said, and I wouldn't have known at that time, but I would dug into with these people and found out. And I can tell you right now, Hamilton can't afford $80,000 here. We just can't.
Can
do
the
it.
residents afford to not have adequate ambulance, jail operations, and dispatch service? That's what I have to ask. It's a required thing that has to happen by the state, so we have to do it.
John, I was on the phone with Robert Norris all afternoon, working on our budget. That would devastate our
Same thing.
budget's tinier than yours.
Yeah, it's devastating.
It's gonna devastate us.
Yeah, your general fund pays for certain things. Get back, that's what your money's for. You get your general from your property tax. That does come from the residents, your houses. That does pay for your utilities and different expenses. So really, people are paying for it.
I figured
Yeah.
they should.
Well, they do. I mean, it comes out of the general. I'm saying is we have to use, unfortunately, we have to use some of our CF money. That's kind of like a general for us. And it is. It's kind of like, well, it is. And I just put it together now. It pays for our street commissioner, pays some of his salary. What do we do with that? What do we do with the workman's comp? And, you know, I pushed everything I could to BC low it for us. And it's a little bit over the budget to get as much over as I can. And we just don't have it. We don't have to get to lose.
So you have your budget in and entered and all good?
Yeah. And
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. You got yours done?
Today.
Donnie, you got yours done?
No.
It was enjoyable.
We can work right together tomorrow.
I mean, I would have said much. I would have said more about this too. And like I said, being a new clerk, I mean, oh my gosh, I learned things last night. I was doing wrong, little things, and you just keep learning. But I would have said more about it. We just can't afford it, guys. We just can't. We don't have it. We don't have it. This isn't a reserve for us.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Thanks, Keith.
Next, we have Megan Richland.
So, hi guys, I'm Megan Fritchley, 217 Next Street, Tell City, and I really like streetlights because I've never had them before, so it's new. I brought the CEO of the hospital here last time, whenever you guys were going to vote, and I didn't think that you would vote again. And he was prepared to tell you that you can get as many ambulances as you want, but we don't have staff for them. So I'm curious, since the last meeting, have any of you talked to Jared Stimson about the money that you say that you have to have, since we're already getting an ambulance next March and you won't have to provide another one until 2026? No?
It's not
Okay.
just that.
So
We have
I'm
to-
also wondering if anybody but Kelly is fully aware that you are going to make an illegal decision. You've got one legal opinion. I've got four, and every single one of them says you had till August 1st. You are not the tax council. Do you know how many members you have on your tax council? Do you?
Nope.
Okay. Were you asked about any of this? Gail specifically, were you included in meetings and asked about this edit lit plan?
Not in meetings, but emails.
Keith, were you?
Damn few.
And I know for a fact Paul and Earl weren't either. So
Because we can't.
for Kelly, I am not talking to just you. You are not the president. I'm addressing the entire body.
I understand, I'm a part of this body, and I just.
But you're not the only one. So
I
please
went
don't
back
interrupt
and
me,
you say
Kelly. Please, every time I make a statement, you do that. It's rude.
No,
Please.
no, what's
So-
rude is to make statements that are insinuating one thing that's not actual.
I'm
We
not
can't have-
insinuating, I am saying you, Randy Cole, and David Achen privately used your messages, which I have a copy of. Don't make me skip, I'm in order. So, the local income tax council, do you know who is on it?
You asking that question too?
Anybody? Do you know who all is included in it? You say you're 51%, so tell me who the other 49 is.
Tell City Troy and Hamilton.
Who is on it?
What names? Positions and names.
And I want to know if you spoke to them specifically, because guess what? You're putting them in litigation too without wanting. Because that's what's gonna happen, guys. You're gonna get sued. It's illegal what you're doing. Okay, so, I also want to make a public statement, and if you want them, I can forward to anybody. I asked the auditor, and copied the council and commissioners for public records on the edit lit modification tax. I only received Chris, which is the only information I got, but it was incomplete because she didn't have all of them. Keith, who said he did not have the information as a council member. And what you weren't aware of was I had the state copied on all of it. I have filled out a form on this as a complaint. The state has told me it is a valid complaint. Not providing public information and voting is illegal.
I filled out the proper form.
Didn't Andrew Foster
There
ask you to fill out the
is
proper
no
form?
ordinance for a form, and Luke Britt, who I copied you guys on this, I don't have to fill out a form. In fact, I have the statute highlighted. Give me just a second, because I knew you were going to say that. The statute for Indiana, submitting an APRA request, email, fax, treasurer website, in person, or by mail. It does not say anything about a form, and I was told that unless there is an ordinance for the county for us to have a form, you can't ask me to do that. And I got that from the state public access attorney. So I want you to know that I am filing a complaint specifically for the personal emails of Kelly Harding, David Achin, and Wendy Cole, because they communicated to the chief financial officer of the state and did not copy the other commissioners or council. I got an incomplete set of emails, which gives me 2 valid complaints to get. And those are going to be filed first thing in the morning because this matter is illegal. And guys, it's wrong what you're doing. It's wrong. And it's wrong that there is a witch hunt for our mayor. And he got that from me. And I'm sorry that that's happening to you. It breaks my heart because you love Tellson more than anything else. I grew up in Cannleton. It's a rural address, right? We didn't have street lights. We had cows. I'm wondering how many of you have been in a position where you had to choose gas or groceries. You ever been there?
Oh, yeah. My family was, absolutely.
Well, that's what you're doing
I
to
grew up poor.
your
Thank you.
representatives. Yours. You specifically are over that district. I'm sorry that's happening.
It's true, it's a fact.
I know it is.
Like I said, she actually is right, but it's down through water and lights.
I know.
I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's true. I mean, it is a fact.
And there
And
is.
I want you guys to hear that because I can tell you, I know what David and Kelly are gonna do. But I think Stan, Gail, and Keith, I think you guys can listen if you choose to. Because this is so unnecessary. You're hurting so many people. And you have a choice not to. But you have someone else deciding for you before this meeting. And you're better than that.
Who's deciding for them?
You're
before
better
this
than
meeting?
that.
I would like you to answer that question. You made a statement that.
I'm not talking to you, Kelly. You are not God. Stop.
Someone is making decisions for these people before the
Yes,
meeting.
they
I
are.
want to know who that is. You're making an
Me
accusation.
too.
Yeah. I don't tell anybody how to vote. Ask them.
Really?
Ask them. Ask them. Ask every one of them. Yeah, let's see them. I'd like to see them because I don't like to be slandered in public.
I told you the reason why I want this.
I didn't
Okay.
say it was
No, I'm
you.
saying,
Attacking us.
I'm not even talking to,
Any time
I'm not
you
talking
say
to you, I'm
something,
talking to the crowd.
You are guilty conscience, Kelly Harden.
Absolutely not.
No one
Megan
said your
Fritchley,
name,
absolutely
and you
not.
attacked Chris Hill, you attacked.
Please.
David, this is out of order.
Please just,
This is completely out of order. This is ridiculous. This is a lawful assembly of a government body.
Exactly, and I'm
There you go, David.
Absolutely, would you please
No,
stop?
you
I'm gonna ask you one more
Both
time,
of them
please
matter.
stop. That's disorderly conduct. We're trying to conduct
This
a
is
lawful assembly.
disorderly conduct.
We're trying to conduct a lawful assembly of a government body
I know.
and conduct county business.
David, are you the president or is Kelly?
please just shut
I
up.
will.
Oh.
Don't say shut up to her.
Oh, she is hollering from the
And
crowd.
somebody else is.
Somebody down there is.
She's on the council.
We asked from the
Put that in
beginning.
the minutes that way, that that was stated.
What's that?
You told her to shut up.
Well, yeah, you can't,
Talk
you
to
can't
residents
keep,
that way.
you can't keep shouting at us.
That's why you have a sheriff, you can have her removed.
Well, you can remember.
Can I just ask a question?
I didn't decide. I just have one question. If I come up.
Yes.
Thank you. And I may be totally off kilter here, but at the PSAT meeting, I'm sorry, I'm Lisa Ecker. I live in Tell City, so I'm here as a citizen. So at last year's PSAT meeting, it was the county's responsibility to fund dispatch, correct? And that was brought out at the meeting, that took money that Tell City did not have to pay towards the PSAP, correct? Or for the dispatch, correct? Am I correct?
Not all of it, some
Not
of
all, you're right. It lowered the amount that they had to pay because in essence, and Kelly, I'm going to direct it at you because you did mention this, it is the county's responsibility to fund that, whether they paid anything or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So my question is, and I don't know this answer, so I'm asking, so is this ambulance service at jail, is that also the county's responsibility? I realize that all these other cities use this service and depend on this service, but again, is this the county's responsibility to fund that?
Those critical services?
Yes.
Yes, but we have to get money from everyone. It can't just be county residents.
I
We
am-
can't just
I-
charge people that live in the county.
I know.
It has to be everybody is paying towards that.
Tell cities, county residents.
And we're not bringing in enough money with the current rate. That's why we're.
I understand, but again, it falls back to, in my thinking, and I may be totally wrong, but I'm comparing it to the PSAP. So the dispatch, that is county's responsibility to provide that service. Is this county's responsibility to provide the service? I understand you want to get everybody to pitch in and get money from everybody. However, does it fall back on the county?
I
That's
would
my
say
question.
so, yeah. I would say so. These critical services, EMS, dispatch, and jail operations are responsibilities and requirements mandated by the state that we have to do that. We have to provide those services. Now, it doesn't say we have to adequately provide them. I mean, we could just let them go and just say, well, sorry about you, but that's not right. We want you to have an ambulance. We want you to be able to call dispatch and have
I
them.
don't think that's what she's
Right,
saying.
But I'm just trying to say, I'm just making the point that if dispatch was the county's responsibility, if anybody paid anything towards it or not, you had to provide it. Same
Are
way
they in
with
the
But we
these
have to bring in
services.
taxes to provide that. I mean, we
I
we
understand
can't
that, but
just say the
but
county
we're taking
residents are
money
paying
for
for it.
people who cannot afford to have this when it is the county's.
I mean, it's gonna hurt the county too. It's in the
I
amount of
understand that.
$600 and something thousand. I mean, we're just gonna have to reprioritize and look
I
and
understand.
get more efficient and effective with our dollars. That's, we're asking that everybody does that.
Sure, but that was just my
Yeah,
question.
Sure,
Thank
that's
you.
correct.
And to follow up, Tell
Thank you,
City
Lisa.
was paid for 30, 40, 50 years, I don't know, the majority of the dispatch funds. Into the sum of millions. I'd love to go back and add that up, because it'd be a pretty substantial number. Tell City residents, it's my understanding, if I'm wrong, we pay the TIF to build this courthouse. Derby, Rome, Hamilton, Troy didn't build this courthouse. Tell City residents' tax dollars built this courthouse, is that right?
And I wasn't a part of that.
But no, but is that
decision.
right?
The TIF
Not
district.
not the whole city, a portion of
A
the
portion of the
city.
city.
The TIF district, that's correct.
So Tell City's been helping the county out a lot, it sounds like. Our residents built this courthouse, our residents paid for dispatch services and again, I wasn't part of
But
that
we
either.
didn't make those decisions.
Okay, but you should be very thankful for Tell
And
City.
I fought against that for several years as a private citizen
We were right there beside each other on that, okay,
and dispatch.
yes, I agree.
Next item on the agenda is a approval of the minutes of 7/25/24. Did everybody have a chance to look at those?
David, I'd like to make a motion to table that just till I want to look at a couple things. I was looking at it today and then I got sidetracked and put something in it. Can we table that till the
Yeah.
next meeting?
If someone
Okay.
wants to second that.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of tabling the approval of the minutes tonight until the further review, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have the additional appropriations, Pauper Public Defender Fund, $55,693.79. And misdemeanor fund, we don't do these separate, or I guess we need to do them separate.
Motion to approve the proper attorney.
Motion by Keith, second by Gail. All those in favor of approving the Pauper Public Defender Fund in the amount of
Can I ask you a
$55,693.79?
question real quick? Do you have outstanding bills?
I haven't got any, no.
Okay, so this is just to,
This is just transferring
I
the,
just was curious if you had
reimbursement.
any. Okay.
yep, nope, don't
But
have
that's an additional
Sorry.
appropriation, right?
yeah, yeah, it's just appropriating the reimbursement that we received.
And that's okay, even though we don't. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Okay.
just,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? 5-0, I guess. Misdemeanor fund, $11,627.39. This is what the state, I guess, reimburses us for. And then, I think Alan is using it for meals, wasn't it?
Yes, what it's gonna be for.
Hey, Alan, how far do you think this will get you? Or is this for outstanding bills? I mean, will this, how much more do you think you might need?
I prepared what we've spent so far this year. And it averages about $2,871. I can tell you that hopefully you're gonna approve this one, and then we're gonna be out, and you wanted me to wait till I was out, and I will tell you, the next months, we are going to be out again. So this right here, if you approve that, that's gonna get us through this month, but I will be asking for an additional.
So this is for through August or September? Like it did,
This is through September,
okay.
yes. October, November, December, it's a red, so I was gonna say we're gonna ask for around 40,000 for an additional, because our numbers are up, food's up, and Pat Llewellyn, I don't know if anybody knows her, but she does very, very good on getting the best prices. We've got 4 different vendors to get this food, and I don't know that we can do it any cheaper.
I just think maybe for 2025 budget, if we can just look at that and kind of get a closer number. I don't know that crime's going to go down, or
They're not,
I didn't figure.
and I doubt that the cost maybe go up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we getting a lot of out-of-county prisoners coming in?
Right now, we have 0.
What kind of cookouts in July?
Wow.
Yeah.
You mean you have no Vandenberg County?
15
in
No, right now,
$15
at this time, no. I know the prosecutors and the judges worked very hard yesterday to lower some of that. But I don't see it going down. I think this is the new norm. I've said this for the last 6-8 months. This is the new norm. I've had to quit, bringing Vandenberg County inmates over because I didn't have the room for them anymore. I really don't have any room for the females.
You got room, but you don't have the personnel, right?
I don't have definitely don't have the personnel, but the room
Yes.
for the inmates as far as,
The females.
I like to house the females from Vandenberg, and I'm out of room right now. We do have a little bit now, but I can't do it yet until our numbers get lowered.
Are you around 90 or closer to 100?
Right now, I think I'm at 90. I didn't know since I've been
I was
here.
just
but I think
curious.
it's 90. Yeah. That's what that's for. And that just shows every month what we pay.
Well, it gives us a heads up for what's
What's coming.
potentially to come. Yeah.
That takes you through September, you said.
Yes. And then, like I said, there's no doubt I'm gonna have to ask for an additional for the remainder 3 months. And I'm thinking about maybe 40, might get it. You know, if it doesn't, we'll go back. But thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Kelly,
I'll second
second
that.
by Stan. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have Highway Community Crossing Fund in the amount of $1,739,749. Steve, I think that's just a,
That's for the community crossing payouts.
It's just, we got our money from the state and our money together with that, and we have to appropriate for we can pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Kelly, second by Gail. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Good job.
Steve, do you have any update on that, the second application, or you won't know till, do you know when you might know something about the
No,
second?
I think it'll be in September sometime. I'm not sure.
I'm hopeful we get that.
Yeah, I hope we do too.
That'd be great.
I had one other thing, and I've got an operations manager quit. So last time I asked you for permission to hire a operator, but I had a truck driver that moved up to operator. And now I've got an operation manager quit, and I've moved somebody into that spot, so I need to hire 2 truck drivers.
I'll make a motion to approve.
For the 2 positions that,
But it's already.
Truck driver, especially snow
Right.
country. Absolutely. You gotta get the hire. Second.
Motion by Keith, second by Gail for you to hire those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, signify by saying aye to do that.
Aye.
Next, we have general fund out of the corner in the amount of $6,000. I think it's for what? 3 autopsies or?
That will cover, right now, what's left of my budget for this year, I got enough money to cover 3/4 of an autopsy. And 2 more autopsies not gonna cover us for this year. Last year, we increased the funding. We thought that would be somewhere close. It's not. This extra 6,000 will cover us for at least 3 more autopsies. And I'm praying that that might be enough, but we never know. We could do, knock on wood, 2 or 3 next week. You know, there's no way of saying what we're going to do. So I'm just hoping this will cover it, but if not, I'll be back again.
If we don't use it, you can roll
so you
back
have
in.
enough right now for 2 and
I've got, yeah,
Less than
and the
3.
prices are going up. The last autopsy we had done was $1,990. Previous years, they was running around $1,800. This year, it jumped up to a little over $1,900. The last one was $1,990. So, and it keeps increasing because there's more testing has to be done on some of them. So that all comes out in charging me or charging the county for the fees. So
I'll make a motion,
You have
David, do we give him the cash?
Motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Gail. All those
Can I
in
ask a
favor?
question?
Go ahead.
Do
Any
you have
discussion?
any outstanding bills?
I think the last one was sent to Dr. Jacoby. I think the last commissioners meeting was.
I was just curious if you had any outstanding that were gonna eat
No.
up the 2 or 3 that you
No,
have.
the $1,990
Everything we
one.
got, so unless
It's
you've got
paid.
any.
I usually, as soon as I get them from Dr. Jacoby, I turn them in because we gotta keep him happy.
Sure you do.
He's the only pathologist we got in southern Indiana right now that will do them. And and I've heard him make comments. I heard him last week in Vandenberg County. I had to go down to Vandenberg County coroner's office. He made a comment that Perry County was one of the few counties he didn't have to worry about getting paid on time. So I'm tickled to death for that because he has to drive from Bedford, and at any given time, he can start saying, I'm not driving down there anymore. Then I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to take him to Terre Haute, Louisville, somewhere else, and they're going to be more expensive.
So if we don't need this, if we don't end up needing
Then
this,
we
for some
won't,
reason
it
it just
won't
comes
be,
back.
yeah, I won't be moving it into any other fund because I feel that
Okay.
this is something special that needs to stay there. If I
I
don't
agree. I
use
just want to
it,
make sure.
it comes back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and one other thing while I'm here, I sent everybody
Oh, we need to
an
vote.
email. I sent everybody an email on justification for your budget hearings when they're coming up next month. I'd still like for everybody to stop by, give me a call, stop by so I could explain my budget on how I broke it down for next year. Because I think I did increase the autopsy fees again for next year. I think I raised it $2,000.
Did you send it today?
No, I sent it about 3 weeks
I
ago.
haven't gotten anything.
I sent it to everybody's county email.
I promise you, I haven't gotten it. I didn't get an email from you.
No, so
Might want to resend it.
I'll send it again, or if you stop out, I'll just give you a copy of it. It's 1 page, actually 2 pages with the different salaries, different counties in southern Indiana from Wagner, Shealy, and whatever. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
If you could just resend it, I appreciate it. We need to vote though.
Yes, all those in favor of the, sending this,
Aye.
opposed, nay? 5-0. Next, we have a appropriation transfer. Commissioners local income to public safety appropriate transfer of EMS equipment to ambulance services of $30,793.75. I'm assuming the hospital, for some reason, they don't need the equipment, I guess. I guess since we bought it with ARP funds, there's money to transfers to ambulance services.
To help cover the loss or?
I guess, for the plan, to all this.
Yes, I sent you guys a copy of the letter. You should have that.
Somewhere here.
Here it is.
I got it here. Here it is.
This? So Leonard, you don't think you don't need this equipment budget because we,
All of our equipment for this year was funded by the
Okay.
ARP.
okay, I just want to make
That
sure.
was approved back in.
Okay.
This is the first time we ever transferred like this.
So this was, to be honest, a conversation I had with Kayla. And I know that hopefully, going forward, this equipment money is stuff that that I know looked at the budget for 22 and 23, and the 35,000 that was allotted for this equipment was not ever always spent. And then Kayla and I had the conversation that, they pretty much, like Leonard said, had the equipment. And basically, instead of asking for an additional appropriation, go ahead and transfer that money that's already in the budget to go. Do I think the $30,793.75 is going to last until the end of the year? No. I personally too think, I don't know if you council or commissioners have sat down. I know that I've expressed to Kayla that we need to take the time to do it. The reports that we get, what I call a P&L report, there's just too many figures to quite understand exactly what I would like to know the breakdown and where those numbers come from. Because honestly, they can send us whatever number, I mean, no offense, but they can send whatever number they want to send us and we pay it. And we don't know where those figures come from. And I mean, I just would like to have a little bit more knowledge and more information than just those figures.
I know you've sent us those before.
Mhm.
Do you send them every time you get them? Or, okay, I just want to make sure.
That'd be nice if they'd send them monthly instead of just every week.
Actually, according to the current contract we have with them, we're only to fund losses that we have budgeted for. So is this legit that we can do this even?
Well,
See what I'm saying?
yeah, but wait, okay, say that again.
Well, we, according to our contract, we only pay them for losses that we budgeted for ambulance services, that we don't go, in the past, we had never gone beyond that.
So we never went over the 275.
Right.
Well, last year, 25,000 we did.
We did an additional 25,000.
That was additional, yeah.
That was an additional.
It wasn't
yeah.
a training.
No, we did an additional.
17,000 though last year. Remember the 17,000?
They didn't spend it.
It didn't get transferred though?
Mm-mm. Nope, they didn't spend it. It still shows. Here, let me look real quick.
It didn't get captured at the end of the year and then.
Let me look. I'm looking real quick, but no, I don't believe so.
I guess that's up to us if we want to do this, but
I just was trying to keep from doing an additional and leaving that. I mean, that's of course your guys'
we wouldn't be
decision.
doing additional. That's what I'm
If you don't,
saying.
you're saying you would not
I mean, they
give
can-
them
they
any
can
more than
request it.
275. They can
Right.
request it, absolutely. Come on, computer. Okay.
But per the contract, we're not required, right?
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Here, let me do this real quick. Hold on a second. Like, how much?
I mean, we can, I guess, do it, but
Hold on one second.
I think it would be in good faith if we do it. I don't,
We
With the-
budgeted way less than they asked for.
with the way the hospitals worked with us, it would be
I mean, it's something I think we can do.
I do too. The money's there. I make a motion that we allow it.
The transfer?
Absolutely.
If the money's not transferred, what happens to it at the end of the year since we don't need it?
Go buy some equipment. No, just go buy
No,
some
you guys,
equipment.
if you don't spend it, it just starts back at whatever. So like last year, they didn't spend 17, hold on.
It goes back into,
It just stays in there. Huh?
Did that get encumbered?
I'm looking real
For some
quick.
reason, I thought it did.
it doesn't stay within though.
No, it
I
doesn't.
think that's what, it doesn't stay with you. You would lose it, yeah.
So,
Yeah, but
Even though we don't need the equipment now.
you can't carry it over.
For like next
No,
No,
which is,
it goes, it starts back over.
If you encumber it, I have to have a purchase order, like what you're going to purchase it for. So like it's basically something that you purchased in November or December of 2023, but we're not going to receive it or pay for it until 2024. So, I mean, you don't want to just, I mean, that's what I've said is that it doesn't make sense that we need all this equipment, but year after year, money that's being allotted is not being spent. And that's not,
I think the
Your fault,
issue is
Leonard.
it's not been enough to cover like the $120,000 worth of monitors and they can't roll it over, so I guess they could
Well,
have.
I mean, there's smaller items they could have bought.
yeah, last year,
They all about-
$17,997 was not spent.
Being new to the position with the EMS director,
Absolutely.
multiple funds was
Sure.
news to me when I found out.
Sure.
And I think it was news to Kayla as well when
Yes.
she found out
Absolutely.
that there was the equipment fund on top of the general fund.
Yep.
Whatever.
Right.
I mean, if we need to spend it, I'll find something to spend 30 grand on.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, we, last year, we allotted 300,000 for ambulance service, that was all spent. We allotted, 35,000 was allotted for equipment and only $17,002.96 was spent, so that left $17,997.04 that wasn't spent, so it doesn't carry over, you don't get that plus the 35,000 in 2024, it just, you lose it.
So how is the county budgeting for equipment in 10 years from our brand new monitors?
That's what we're trying to do now. That's what we want to try to do, put that back. I said the word
Save
reserve.
Somehow to help pay for that in the long term.
I said the word reserve, but really, I mean, we're just setting it aside so we can plan for the future.
Monitors are high ticket items that wear and tear every day. That our monitors are lifespan of 5 to 7 years, depending on our use of what they're telling me. For our new monitors that we're about to get.
That's right.
So in 7 years,
We need to
how
have money.
are we gonna get new monitors? Hopefully.
I'll stick with my
No,
motion.
no, the plan is, if this tax modification goes through, to set aside money so that we have money in 7 years.
It has to be put into a separate fund.
Yeah.
So a fund would have to be created for ambulance equipment.
Yeah.
To where like I have the plat book, that cash still goes there. That cash stays in that fund. It doesn't go anywhere else. So you would put that money in there.
we'd have to do it in ordinance.
Yeah,
You'd
it's
have
not,
to
it's
do an
not like your
ordinance, yes.
budgeted amount, it's our budgeted amount that could stay, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't need any equipment and we're allowed to transfer this, I
I
would
guess
rather
we
it go
can.
toward the loss, because at the end of the day,
We'll just make an
the county's
exception.
on the hook
I
for
think,
the loss.
Keith, can you make a motion?
I made the motion because I think the hospital's been good enough to
I'll
us and
second
worked
that.
with us.
Okay,
to-
Keith made a motion, Kelly second. All those in favor of transferring the EMS equipment to ambulance services, signify by saying aye, in the amount of $30,793.75. Opposed, nay.
So basically now, this money will be moved to ambulance services. Then you guys, as you submit your monthly P&L. But like I said, I personally feel that there needs to be a little bit more than just this numbers. What makes up those numbers?
I actually get copies of those, so we can share them easily.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. That would have to go
You mean the
through
details within each one of those expenditures?
Yeah, I mean, where do you get those numbers? Because my lord, some of them are,
Next,
yeah,
We track them, so we can share them.
next we have a
Thanks,
transfer
Leonard.
thank
from
you,
the,
Leonard.
thank you, health immunization grant appropriation transfer of $55 from postage to office supplies.
This is just a grant that they're moving.
Looks like they had put the
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
number.
yeah.
They said put a wrong
Yeah.
line item number, I think. So there's
I'll make a motion.
motion by Kelly, second by Gail. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have a highway cash transfer, surplus surtax and wheel tax to local bill road matching grant in the amount of 100,000.
This is matching. It's part of the matching, moving for the matching, right? Yep. The 100 and the 200.
That's just.
Can we approve them both at the same time?
Oh,
It's just,
I don't know, maybe not.
I've got appropriations that come from different funds.
Okay.
yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the 100,000.
Motion by Keith,
I'll second it.
second by Kelly. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have from motor vehicle highway restricted in the amount of 200,000 to local road and bridge matching grant of 200,000. Again, it's just a matching grant. Motion by Gail to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Keith. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 2025 holiday pay schedule.
I can do this.
Oh,
It's easier. So, I sent you guys the the note that I got from Wagner, Irwin and Shelley. Basically, it's just,
so is that just stay the way it is then?
no, you guys can change it. I mean, it's,
I think we'll just leave it alone, prove it as it is, and leave it as in the past.
I wonder.
Because there's some difference, they work different amount of hours per day.
yeah, I don't know if the council did that because
I
of
think that's the
that.
reasoning.
Mhm.
So I think we'd be better off being more fair with all employees, approve it as in the past. I don't think that,
And I prepared, Lisa and I dug and dug and dug, and we went back, all the way back to 2011 with the history of it.
It says the commissioners have to approve that anyways, right?
You guys approved the holiday, I believe.
Well, I don't know, it just says typically awarded days, but the commissioners have the authority to change them, so I didn't know. Does that just mean change the day or change the,
If they get paid or not, that should be up to us, probably.
Oh, it does say they do it.
It does say they do the holiday, but you guys are always the one that approved the,
I think they just messed that up accidentally.
I'm
That
wondering.
said the council-
instead of council, but you guys have always approved the holiday calendar.
Yeah, we're the fiscal body.
Yeah,
so
the pay and the calendar.
I'm okay with leaving it the way it is.
We've already done budget based off of the way it's already been,
Yeah.
so it'd be really
we leave it
nice.
as is.
Yeah, I would say, like, Keith, leave it as it is.
Okay.
because It's in our handbook, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's that way in our handbook.
Okay, motion by Keith and second by Stan to leave it the way it currently is. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have ARP funding approval for the federal audit in the amount of $30,000. How much?
It was left off of the last
30,000?
amount.
Oh, look, she said 70.
30.
No, 30.
30 for the next, for 24, 25, 26, right?
It's for like the next, 3 years.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Kelly to approve,
I'll second.
second by Stan. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have modify the local income tax rate of Perry County. I don't know what we're doing here, but I don't know, what does everyone think about this? I don't know.
All I have to go by is what
I know,
the legal counsel told you. And if it's turned, if this board approves it or doesn't approve it, if they approve it, then it'll go to DLGF, and if it's not right, then.
We vote no on it, David, are we still named in the lawsuit?
What?
I think so.
I would say the methodology, yeah, and I don't know what Hamilton Troy's position is, but I mean, all I ask, and I think follow the procedures and policies the way they're set by state statute.
And we believe we're doing that based on what the attorney said. I realize you have a different interpretation. I'm not saying yours is wrong, or I'm just saying we have to go by what we're told, that we turned in everything. You know, David turned it into him and said, here's what we've done so far, here's the documentation. And he said he believes that we're following the proper process. So that's what we have to go by.
Okay, but I mean, I just,
And myself, it goes deeper, it goes, I understand public safety and that ambulance, the city council, we can't afford. And I guess that's where I'm coming from, it's a little different angle, but I understand. He said, well, John, what do you want us to do about the ambulance service? And I don't have that answer today. All I know is.
That's something we need to sit down and talk
Right
about.
now, and like I said, I should have brought my stuff.
Work
We
it
had
out.
a lot last night. I was spoke sooner, you know, I thought I was going out last night, so I'm not here to provide, I'm just here to present you.
Diggity
Counties and people.
Every entity, including the county, is going to lose money. The county's going to lose
I
$600,000.
I hear you, Kelly, on there, I'm saying to you, because I am the clerk for your area.
I understand.
Is I'm saying you financially, they can't do it. They would be devastated. I think we only get like I think we got $390,000 in general money, and get a $50,000 audit. Their police, you know, you got to pay for your payroll. It just, we're robbing on that. I pushed as much I could, you see low, I pushed as much as in the age or whatever. I mean, it's just, you just have to see the council's books. You just don't have them. It's because we don't have the property tax from general. We're using our Seattle to help. That is our general. It's like we got two generals, you know, and we know we use so much from that general. I mean, we see it. It's just we just don't have that. I don't know what we would do. And I understand the ambulance. I really do. But the council's a little different, unfortunately. We're trying.
And honestly,
I'm here to do this to help.
Honestly, John, the county doesn't have it either. So
I know. So I don't know the answer.
we can't.
It
You know, that's why
boils
we have
down,
to-
it just boils down to money, you know,
I
and,
know.
and, you know, Tell City's doing what they can to provide their services, Candleton and Troy, and also the council, you know, and there's so many things that we don't have a choice, you know, the things that are mandated, that they talked about, the jail and the ambulance and all those things, and there's, I guess we're gonna have to pick up a little bit more money of the PSAP. Is that gonna be,
We can get a meeting, I'll try.
you know?
I mean, the PSAP's the county's responsibility too. So I hadn't really thought about it until Lisa said it, but the PSAP's the county's responsibility. And it's a county, so I think what made me think what she was saying is, so are all these other things. So what's the difference in the PSAP and these items? Because the PSAP's the county's responsibility. What's the difference in, so should we be asking the city of Candleton, Troy, and everything, I mean,
Yeah.
to pay for that stuff too?
And we are,
It's a countywide service.
we are increasing the amount that's designated to PSAP, where we are getting close to where we have the money to fund that now. We're going to have the money to fund that. We're increasing it. We'll be increasing our 120,000. And we're getting close to where we have the dollars to fund that, or we would, once we do all this.
David, can I have permission to read
Yeah.
one real quick statement? And you read your attorney's.
Come up here, Chris. I can't really hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You read your attorney's statement, and I'm just going to read it, just 3 sentences or 3 lines. It says, "Dear Mr. Aitchen, I have reviewed all of your proposed documents. Actually, I agree with both the county attorney, which would be referring to Rod Acciato, correct? And the city attorney, which is our Jeff Haggard, who's just here. It is, of course, correct that before the ordinance is effective, which is what you're wanting to adopt, the other members of the tax council are given the right to vote."
And that's what you would be doing tonight.
Who?
With this resolution, you will be given the right to vote.
Who will?
Who will? You don't know who yet.
Wait a minute, I don't know who.
You couldn't name the 100 people or the 100 points or however that works yet. Who's on the council? The name of them. Because she's not certified that by January 1st as it was supposed to be done.
I don't know if that's the case or not, because I've not been told that. I've been told that you go back to the most recent census. I mean, if we pass this, and if the state says it's wrong, then they won't approve it.
I know, but, okay. Again, I'll go back to the last thing I said. I'm gonna sit down because I don't want to pick up your meeting anymore, but I wish to God, this council and this county officials, not Chris, and not some of the other offices. I'm talking about mainly, Keith does, and so does Paul. But call the city sometime. For Christ's sake, have the courage to just talk to us. It's not that hard, man. This dispatch stuff is gonna get out of hand, because I'm gonna send you an email tomorrow, I promise you. And I hope you respond soon to the schedule. We can't
You did respond to that.
Well, no, you said sometime in September. There was never,
September.
and I said, so I'm gonna follow up tomorrow. We got to get going.
Right.
Because I can tell you, how would you feel?
Actually, you're supposed to have done that the 1st of August.
Correct, but we didn't do it till last year the same time, because I looked back at the minutes. But my point is, how would you feel if I sent you an email and said, hey, David, you're responsible for all dispatch, good luck, and not called you and said, hey, let's sit down and talk about it first? Would you have been upset with me? You would. You should have. But I'm gonna sit down with you, because that's what we're gonna do. Gotta work together, man. I'm telling you. That's the only way this county and the cities are gonna grow. Working together, talking things through. And this would have went way better had we done that. I guarantee you, I bet Kennelton would be on board, Tell City would be on board with it, and Troy, I can't speak for my God, but I bet they would, had it just was sat down at the table and say, hey, guess what? We got this problem, let's work together.
So you're saying John Mark would have approved it?
No, it may not have been this 42%, maybe it could have been 37%, where it could have given him time to budget, because he has his 3-year edit plan just like we do. You know, we've got commitments, and we may have to cut those commitments, and if we do, we do. It is what it is, because we're gonna work with what we got, we're gonna get creative, it's like we have to do. But
I realize it'd be more difficult for Kennelton than Tell City.
But thank you guys for your time, and I hope y'all.
What I see there is a challenge. You say, I've never done anything, now you understand, now, it's been neglected for so long. And that's why I haven't done it, because they don't have the money, so I feel that we're in a position to, now we're balancing out or something. Well, honestly, I don't know what I would give up right now, but it doesn't mean that we can't do something going into next year, because I think we can. I think it'd be fun putting it together, kind of. You know, I think it'd be fun, having to figure this out and do it. But I know it's possible. Yes, it really just puts me, I'm sad for my people, because I don't know what I do. I don't know what I do to you. Sure. I think it'd be fun putting something together for next year. And, or even going into the first part of next year. I don't know timetables and stuff. I think that I think we can do something. I think we're going to be a part of something.
I don't know if it'd be fun, but
To me, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And how do we do this? We're not doing it, but how? That's the fun part.
David, I'll make one last proposal. Your attorney, who gave his opinion, give it to the city attorney like it was supposed to happen, and then figure something out. And maybe give it the Norris guy from DLGF and Emily and whoever. Put the powers that have in the room, figure out the right answer. That's way we all can walk away with knowing the right answer about what you guys pass this, now it's gotta be repealed or whatever. It would make us all look a lot better.
Guys, I want to remind everybody that budget's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
And here's my whole thing. I know Connie, I mean, we don't have, I'm standing for this. If we don't have a good foundation on our Form 3, you guys are up creek. I mean, and if you think that I'm going to be pounding on a calculator, I've already told you this work session, I am not pounding on a calculator. I am not staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning doing figures. And I really don't think Susan's going to do that either. So if you don't have that information, because they will take your ending balance from last year, plus all your figures for the first 6 months, then they're going to take your estimated revenue for the next 6 months and your expenditures that you haven't spent in your budget, and they're going to give you your estimated ending balance as of December 31st of 2024. And then they're going to take your current request, what I submit, plus your estimated revenue for each fund and tell you where you're at. If you don't have that accurate, and that's due tomorrow, you guys aren't really giving me much time anyway. I find it very rude that I only have 12 out one day to do this.
I actually didn't want to table it last.
Well, you shouldn't have brought it up in May. You should have brought it up in March.
Okay, that's your opinion.
County budget.
It is my opinion. You can't do something. You can, what?
The projection for the end of the year without this money is still in the black. I looked at the budget. It's
not like we're red without this money. It's not like we're going in a hole if this decision.
Based on the comprehensive plan that they gave, which I know there's some
Megan, you're out of
adjustments.
order.
Sorry.
That's right. Sorry.
I just wish
sorry.
we should start this stuff
Sorry.
earlier, you know, I mean, have more planning time for it. And I'm not meaning to stand to be aggressive, I promise. I just wish that we would, you know, May was too late to start this. May, it was just introduced. Figures were not brought out till June. And now here we are, August 29th, and we all have to
And in
submit
all
this
fairness, I
tomorrow.
didn't vote to table this last time.
And that's why there's an August
So-
first deadline for this.
Right.
That's-
Yes.
David, do you need to read the ordinance or?
Yeah.
The full
They
first
pass
ordinance?
it, and all of a sudden the lawyer says that it was all done wrong, how much is a mess gonna be for y'all to straighten
Well,
that
they're
out?
huge mess.
Yeah.
Huge mess.
So
Huge
the next
mess.
city did what? It's always got to
David,
pay
what's
fees.
the, do you read the ordinance in full again? And then
I would
we
do,
do the resolution?
I would do the
first?
resolution.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution of the Perry County Council of Perry County, Indiana, concerning an amendment to the county income tax. Whereas the Perry County Council of Perry County, Indiana is desirous of considering an ordinance pursuant to IC 636, which will provide for the enactment of an amendment to the county income tax upon the residents of Indiana, and whereas IC 63-6 requires that the Perry County Tax Council determine the allocation which will be established by the county tax council. Be it hereby resolved by the Perry County Council of Perry County and that the attached proposed ordinance will be recommended to the Perry County Income Tax Council for approval. Taxing unit shall have 30 days in which to approve or reject the proposal and return its vote to the Perry County Auditor. This ordinance will be effective on the vote of over 50% of the Perry County Tax Council. This resolution is approved this day of August 2024.
29th.
Huh?
Is it
It'll be the
29th?
29th of August 2024. That is the resolution that we would be passing tonight.
Okay, so I have a question. You're saying that they would have 30, the tax council would have 30 days to submit their vote.
Right.
Do you realize what day that puts us at? And you guys have to have an adopted budget by October 10th. You have to have your public hearing and first reading September 12th. You have your budget session September 17th, 18th, and 19th. So I don't really know how you're going to be able to do a budget when you don't really know what you're going to be doing a budget, how your numbers are going to work. And then your budget has to be adopted October
Of course,
10th.
once we vote on the ordinance, technically it has passed because we're
But
over
I don't
50%.
understand. Okay, so
about it goes to litigation?
I don't know what about litigation. That's
That's
a whole
what I'm
different
saying.
thing.
I have a question though. Why would there, in my black and white brain, why would there even be a tax committee of Troy, Hamilton, Tell City, and the county if their opinion and vote doesn't matter and you guys have to just, that's why I don't think that that's right.
We
I
don't
don't feel-
make those rules.
But I don't think
state
it's
system.
necessarily you guys. I think it's a majority vote. Because that doesn't make sense to me that, okay, we're gonna have this tax committee and we're gonna have all these people on here, but you people don't serve a purpose. These are the only people that matter.
It is a majority vote.
Chris,
We're over 50%, so it
if
is
something
majority.
happens that other entities become a majority with their population or whatever the, you know.
They
the state-
change?
Yeah, it can change. So, I mean, we're actually not very,
Much over.
no, the county isn't.
There's 100 votes total, but we still don't know who the people are on. Because she's not certified as she was supposed to. It's done with state statute
Yeah, it's a
first,
percentage.
but
So David, do we
whatever.
vote on this ordinance and then the second ordinance?
And we vote on the resolution.
Oh, that's what I meant, sorry, resolution. The one that you just read.
Yes.
Is that how I understand it correctly from his email?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
May I say something?
You were on my list, but I guess you can.
No, I wasn't on the agenda. I've been a resident of this county, if I'm lucky enough to live 4 more months, for 84 years. If you pass this irresponsible resolution tonight,
knowing that there's questions about the legality of it. That is an example of the most irresponsible county government I've ever seen in those 84 years.
We have
Don't like it, vote them out.
We have checked the
Well,
legalities with, David has checked the legalities with the lawyer. He has, obviously has a different interpretation than this lawyer.
We've got different opinions on that,
Right. So,
different legal opinions.
eventually we have to go with the, we're told, right? I mean,
No.
so we just.
have to resolve it and then decide.
And that's what I tried to say, but one ear out the other.
Well,
And you don't even
We
have
have
it in
a
writing
term
from the
for
DLGF. I wouldn't do anything unless I had something in writing from the DLGF. I have conversations with the State Board of Accounts, DLGF, all the time. And when I get done, I'm like, can you send me an email of this so I can have documentation of this conversation?
I made a motion to approve this resolution, David. I made a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Do we have- I made a motion to approve this, but. this-
I made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll make a motion that we table it.
There's already a motion on the floor.
I know, but it died. There wasn't a second. You seconded, Dave?
No.
Yes. Thank you, David.
David, you stand up, sit up, do the
Thank
right
you.
thing.
Thank
I don't know about that.
you. You did.
I think something could be worked out, like I said, we'll come together first.
I don't
I'm sure the
know.
voters will remember this.
Okay, my main thing was
I know you're
not knowing who all the parties were, the 51%, in the whole group. And, but saying that, we need emergency services.
Amen.
I don't know how I can stress that, okay?
Everybody agrees.
I think we can be
But
accountable.
because I know firsthand how, with that, I said that before in the other meeting. I think maybe, I don't know. It's a tough decision, but I want to know who all the parties are. I know we are, of the 51%, names behind them. And, because I am for this, but I want, there's some questions that I want answered on it. And, but we've been at this for a long time.
I make a
And
suggestion that the lawyers get together before the next meeting.
That's all
And
I
get the
ask.
legal
I'll
part.
set it up, I'll email, I'll conference it, if I can drive him up there, I'll do it. 'Cause it makes sense.
Make plans for
Perry
work
County's not
sessions.
the only county that's having difficulty. And that's why the state has given the local tax income council an opportunity to make some changes. So like I said, if we can get all the legalities worked out, it still may have to make some changes. But
Be the most-
and maybe next year,
Let's not wait next year.
you know,
I'm not
First thing that-
As far as certifying the votes, I've never heard of that.
Do what?
Certifying the number of votes, I've never heard of that.
A population.
Well, let's get on it and
It's always
figure
been
it out
the,
and
it's always been
brainstorm
the,
and get some
the
work
most recent
sessions.
census. That's what we use.
I just tonight found out Troy was part of this. Never been involved. Would that not behoove all of us to get together?
I think we're all more aware now of who should be involved.
I still like to know who is the tax, been sitting there for 3 hours, still don't know.
I have a question for
The members of the tax board are made up,
Magic
you
one.
representing the county.
You're saying that
The
you're
city
broke,
represents each city.
but after
They
the first
meet,
year, you're
each
gonna have-
individual has the right to bring
I
forth
said that.
change to the
I can't
tax
hear it.
code.
I said that.
We can't hear you, Randy, can you come up to the microphone?
I sure can.
I'm sorry.
The way the state law, and I'm not an attorney, but I am familiar with this. These guys are part of the county and they represent whatever the population is in Perry County. your council represents Tell City, whatever percentage of the population that is. There's 100 votes total by percentage. That's how they get 51 and whatever the percentage vote is. Troy will get their percentage, Hamilton will get their percentage. Then what they do as a group by effectively either passing this, then they in effect have 51%. The others have the option to vote for it or not vote at all, and it's cast as a no vote. But because the county has the majority of the population, it will pass. Now, in some cities, if the county only had 40%, and we had 3 or 4 other cities that had in excess of
If they all got
40%,
together.
they would have to vote. And if the other cities voted this tax act down, then it would not pass. Each individual entity, the city of Tell City can bring forth a ordinance that says, or a resolution that says, we want to adjust the local income tax. You can do that. You can do the same thing they just did, okay? That's within your right, that's part of it. Then you would pass it, and there's no reason to get the tax council involved until the entity passes the ordinance or resolution. Because if not, you meet and no one ever passes an ordinance out, there's no reason for you to meet. It has to first be initiated by one of the members of this group. And the city can do it, the county can do it, Troy can do it, any one of them can do it.
But Randy, can't you change the local income tax countywide? That way it's fair across the board for all cities and you don't.
You can propose, any one of these entities can propose a change to local income tax because we're a co-ed, think co-ed's a proper county.
Right.
And that's the way the law set it. So Tell City can say, well, I want to change the local income tax in this fashion. They can bring it forward, but what they have to do is within their own group is pass it first.
With the income tax council.
No,
But
no,
that's what.
the income tax council doesn't take action until the entity actually passes something. If they never pass anything, it never gets to the income
But
tax.
the GLGF said the income tax council is the entity to propose it and then it
The
goes
income
forward.
tax council is made up of, in our case, 4 entities. Okay? So if the 4 don't agree on it, you're saying we can't change local income tax? If that's the case, that's incorrect. Because any entity, if you read the statute, specifically states any one of the members can propose a change to the local income
But then
tax.
they don't have to meet.
They have to go through the same thing. They have to notify the other entities, have a public hearing,
By what
the
date?
whole thing.
August 1st.
August 1st. But they did that. The county
We
can
did a
do
public
that.
hearing.
The
They
tax council has to notify by August 1st.
The tax
Not the county
council does not play a part until
Something's
any one of the 4 entities has initiated and passed. They have to pass it
Right, that's-
before the tax council gets involved. I mean, it's clear if you just read the statute.
I have it, I have a copy.
I've read it. You don't need to give me a copy.
But from the attorneys we have, it states,
And see, Chris, you have 2 attorneys. They pick one attorney that says one thing, you pick another attorney that says another thing. You know why the county's in multiple litigations right now? Differing
Decisions.
opinions.
No,
You know-
no.
Yes.
No,
they're decisions, opinions, votes are decisions. We'll make it-
So what happens is, we get involved with things. We got sued because there was an inmate out of the prison that didn't like the way he was treated.
Yeah.
County got pulled into it because the prison was within the
Sure.
Perry County. So we get involved in these things all the time. It's part of it. And you have 2 different legal opinions, and the DLGF, okay, if they have done something incorrect, this will never become a tax.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm still gonna go back to what our attorney said here. And now you can agree or disagree, it's fine. It says, under Indian code, there are 100 votes total for the entire Perry County Tax Council. We agree, right?
And how many would this group get? Just to answer that.
I can answer that, say actually, with the population spreadsheet that I've done up here, 50.3.
No.
2020.
I'm doing 2022%. Am I wrong about that?
2020
Yes,
census.
you're wrong.
But see, who are those? Okay, hang on.
Right here's the people.
This is gonna get a little confusing because this is how we know that number, Randy. I'm gonna read it to you. On or before January 1st of each year, the county auditor must clarify the number of votes to each member. On or before January 1st. Did that occur? Did it occur?
I don't know what the auditor does. I don't know.
This is state statute, I'm reading. I'm not just pulling this out of me. I'm not, this is by Ice Miller, a very prominent, well-known law firm in the state of Indiana.
Okay.
I think this is a proven fact. You
Yeah.
can't just start
Yeah.
this.
I'm just
That's
getting
too
started.
much.
I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm saying is follow the process, that's it. And I
We
apologize.
are trying to follow the process to what we know. That is what I'm trying to do.
I believe you believe that.
I 100% believe that. I would not do something that I thought was illegal.
And
Absolutely
let
not.
me share where this all was initiated from. It's not like it was cooked up in the back room.
Yeah.
You had Baker Tilly down here going over some of our finance problems, and he brought up the fact that the state has changed it so that we have these classifications of mandatory 911 dispatch, ambulance, and jail that are mandatory, and they have a carve-out for local income tax. That's where it was brought up, and it was Jason Stemler who did it. And that's what initiated this whole thought, because we're underfunding all these programs, and this was an opportunity to do it.
And I completely think it's a wonderful idea, but the whole, I think my
Well, it
whole
wasn't
thought,
done behind, that's what.
That's right.
The thing is, it sounds like you were brought to the table until City and County Troy were left on the menu.
And Keith.
You were brought to the table, you knew all that stuff.
Yeah.
Tell City knew none of it.
what happened is a few people took the initiative to look into this.
Which is what happens with everything.
But then you need to bring it to your whole group.
We did.
Who are we? Who are you?
We brought it to the
Who
council.
are the 50 people that you have?
We don't have 50 people.
Who are the 50 people that the county council represents?
They don't know because of.
Did they vote on this?
For the 50.1% or,
They have no record of it on.
You say there's 100 people on this.
well,
David,
votes.
David, I think Kelly's motion died from lack of a second.
I guess.
I'll make a motion, we table it until we get some,
No, don't say it, just end it.
I will second Kelly's motion.
Kane, it died. so that's
Her motion
good.
already died.
No, it didn't die.
Sure it
Yes,
did.
it did.
How long did it take it away on the
We can
table?
allow another motion and then take another one. Keith has a motion on the table to table it or end it,
And it,
to end it. Okay. See if we have a
after the
second.
first of the year.
Motion died, David?
I shall ask a second.
So can somebody else make a motion or?
I mean, I hope you wouldn't make a vote without knowing who those people are. Saying that meant a lot to you, and I think we have a lot of integrity, and I know that's what you, how you feel.
You guys were gonna let this die until Randy pulled about it.
We have different thought processes.
No, I mean, about
So-
the process. I mean, you-
True.
And I appreciate it.
Mr. Goffman did.
David, can I make another motion?
He reminded them what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Most votes died, we make sure.
Yep. And if you have your city, your county attorney here, you
So
know
we,
that.
so someone can make them, I appreciate that, but I'm not sure why he's not here.
I'm not either, I wish.
Because he abstained from this situation.
Well, on school board, come up a couple times. Once it dies, you can't go back and remake that motion.
Okay, so you can't make a motion to approve it again, so someone can make a
Can't
different
make
motion if they want.
Can't make a motion to table it, can't make a motion can't make a motion for anything, technically.
Well,
I
the
don't
next
think we've been
meeting.
following
the
that,
next
but we
meeting
should.
can't, but, no, you want to just forget it and let, Ian, emergency plate go.
I'm still very firm in my opinion that it needs to happen so that we properly fund these critical services, because the residents of Perry County deserve better.
No, and I agree
That's-
with you, but.
No, I don't need you to, I'm fine. I just made a statement. Thank you.
Next item is grant for solid waste.
all I want to do is there is a grant available for up to $100,000. And I know before we apply for them, you guys want to be aware of it. Don't know if we'll actually qualify, and I'm not sure the quotes will get in time, but we'll try.
Is it for equipment or?
All
Different
kinds of different
services.
things, and it's basically to take more waste stream out of the system. Up to 100,000, 25% match is what it requires.
Where you gonna get the 25%?
If we get that, we'll find it somewhere.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Gale. All those
Aye.
in favor of approving, Commissioner applying for the grant, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have special projects, edit solid waste.
Okay, what we did is we set aside in our edit plan that got approved for 2024, and we had $247,000 set aside for special projects. That was to pay our portion of the normal $45 fee for our percentage of the residents in the county. And then we also had additional money set aside in the event we were fortunate enough to get an additional $500,000 in community crossings. So what I'm just wanting to reaffirm, probably not required, but I want to make you aware that we'd like to use that to clean up. We're getting a rather substantial amount of bills that have been not paid. We have invoices that have not been sent out for services provided. There's quite a few other things that I really don't want to share with you because of their pending problems that's coming up. But we've had services provided a lot by local folks here. They haven't been paid for up to 9 months, some of them in excess of a year. And we want to utilize those funds to clean up some of the past practices. Just want to make sure you're on board with that.
I mean, it's already budgeted, so do we?
It's budgeted,
We
but
don't
I
need
just
to-
want to make sure you're okay.
I'll make a motion to approve if we have to. I mean, I understand it. We have
Motion
to- we have to
Kelly
write
to
it.
approve. Have a second?
Yeah.
Second by Stan. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
That's what I figured. 4-1.
Well, no, documentation to back up what we're voting on there.
Yeah.
That's what Randy said.
There's an edit plan.
I know there's an edit plan.
It's in there.
I mean, they do it, paying
It's
solid
just
waste bills for the, that should have been paid out of the $45.
Okay, scheduling of department head budget meetings. August has passed, or soon to be.
I have got so many emails from departments
I
wanting
was
to know.
looking, I know I can't do it on the 4th. How would everybody be on the 5th? It's like on a Thursday,
Well, it's not me, it's just you guys.
4 to 7, something like that.
Are you doing a schedule, or are you
Yes.
just doing
No, we
allot everybody, or are you doing like where we need to schedule it out?
I think so.
Yeah,
That way they wouldn't have to sit over the whole
whole time.
evening.
Okay.
How many hours? 4 to 7? And how much?
I think it would work.
Didn't you say like 30 minutes or something?
I think 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
I mean,
How many departments we have? 6, 7?
Even if we had to,
I don't know.
it might take more than one day.
Huh?
I mean, we could do like, shorter days.
Here's what I was thinking, which I understand August has passed, and this is when I had talked with Susan, is that getting away from doing this all in one night, because we all know how tired we are right now, and we're probably not retaining 100% of what we're hearing, that you would do like 3 or 4, like just shorter increments, which I guess, 3 hours or whatever, but and not necessarily, yeah, but I get it, we're to a point where we've got to get it, I would break it down to where,
It can't be all in one night. It's not fair to the people who are at the end because you're wore out and it's like,
Yeah.
I guess we could
you
do,
lose focus. I mean,
it's
I don't
whatever
think
you
it's
guys
fair
want
to
to
them,
do.
so. I don't mind if it's a few days, 2 or 3 days. Whatever it takes to get it done.
does the 5th work for everybody to schedule one? Then, what would the next? See, that's
So you've got,
Thursday.
So Fine by me.
September 5th, that's a Thursday. So then you've got the following week, the 9th, whatever you want. So, yeah.
No, we have one on the 12th already, our regular outside, right?
Yeah, the outside's on the 12th.
Huh?
Monday the 9th.
Would that work for everybody, Monday the 9th?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, if you didn't want to do one that week, I mean, I don't know, you've got the 12th, so you've got 3 days prior to that. And I do believe every department, the whole point is this, is so that when you leave, you've asked all your questions and you know everything about what they're requesting.
As much as
My whole
possible.
vision is that then you're really only just gonna have to cross your Ts and dot your Is and look at where you're at within the form, which you'll have the Form 3 already by
There still might
then
be some discussion about.
with
certain
wages
things,
and
yeah.
stuff like that for you guys. But as far as having to call a department head and ask a question,
I would say I might not. Think of something
Right.
after the fact that I agree.
We can do it in 2 nights, I think, can't we?
Yep.
Gail was saying maybe 3 nights, but I don't think we need to do 3 nights.
Whatever's needed, I'll do it.
The 9th would work also, and the 5th. That work for you? 9th, September 5th and September 9th.
5th,
Thursday and Monday.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
schedule them.
yeah,
5th and the
you
9th.
do know it's NFL season.
No.
what time did you want to do? What time are you doing? 4 to 7?
4 to 7.
4 to 7? I heard it.
And will it be in here?
Yeah, go look, grab the calendar real quick, make sure we don't have any other meetings or
We
something.
can do it somewhere else, couldn't we? I guess. Yeah, I guess not.
Kristen, can I just ask you, Jack, if you're gonna have those budget meetings like that, would it be maybe not appropriate, but appropriate to schedule a little dispatch one in between some of that? Would that help you guys any? I'm just looking at, so you don't have to come and go, come and go. You don't want.
Probably not the same night, but a different night. we can
Well,
do.
I was thinking, like, I just wanna try to work something in that, I don't know.
Yeah, we need
Think about it,
to, we need to get
tomorrow we'll
that.
get together and communicate, but
When,
give you a little.
when were you thinking?
I'll yield to you guys, honestly. Well, I gotta talk to my council, obviously, that's not in my profession.
I mean, we need to do this as quickly as
We
possible.
do, I just
I
wanna.
gotta get it signed, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
let me pull up this calendar and see what we've got.
They're all like staying.
Thank you,
So
Lisa.
4 o'clock. Do those dates work, Lisa?
September 5th, you've got that health board meeting are you going to that?
Not the 12th.
Health board, no, your
Oh, it is the 5th.
health board is the 12th. Oh, I've got,
Health board's
Health board's
12th and
5th.
the health board's the 5th.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that health board's the 5th. I don't know if you're going to
I don't-
remember that.
I guess I don't have to go. but
17 or 19 on the city schedule doesn't look bad, but I can't speak for the entire council.
I
We're
wouldn't
in the
have
middle
to
of our work session. There you go. Here you
I
go.
wouldn't have to go with that.
Okay. And then the election board is just from 8 to 12. So you're good the
So
5th
that
and
doesn't,
9th? I got tax sale during the day, but nothing.
yeah, that's at 9:30, isn't it?
Mhm.
I know we have a.
On the 12th.
Oh, that's on 12.
There's several things on the 12th.
But they're earlier in the day though.
Well, we have that.
Oh, we have
budget
ours.
hearing, Yeah.
Yeah,
Ours
but
on the
during the day and at night.
But on the 5th, they had that health board meeting with planning and zoning,
Oh,
which
oh,
I we don't have to go with that though. There's others.
I thought we sent it to them, but
That's at 5 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know.
whatever works for you guys, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
Just figure it out.
Do we want to try maybe the 9th and 10th?
Yeah,
That's
that's 9:30.
Does 9th and 10th work for you guys?
Yeah.
How about
Anybody?
9th and 10th?
9/9 and 9/10.
They say it worked.
Okay. Huh?
9th and 10th.
Is that okay on the calendar, Chris?
Yep.
4 PM?
4 to, yep. And then, so you want me to schedule them every
The 10th,
30
we have a
minutes?
work meeting.
Yeah.
I'll schedule them every 30 minutes.
Oh, the 10th, we have a,
What do we have to take?
They said, I said that, that's where I had my
I
notes.
don't know,
Let me check.
You think we can do it?
budget hearing.
Got a nail appointment. So I know. How about
All
everything?
right.
All right, so 9th and 10th, 4 to 7. I'll schedule every 30 minutes. I'll send that out to department heads to sign up for slots. And I'll get that organized for you guys.
And
All good?
what day is that? You said we'll get our budget book?
September 9th.
David, if you let me know a time of the 9th or 10th, we might be able to make it work for us if you want. Not, I understand.
If you want to do that one from 3 to
It might be
4.
3-hour evening, so.
We've done this before, or it don't, I don't know, you guys decide. It don't matter. I'm just trying to do
It
it.
gets to work so long that it's like,
Building zoning.
somebody's gonna have problems.
Maybe
Because
next
then
week.
you'll have pretty much everything kind of in line before you start budget. You really need to get it done before here.
Yeah, let me stand, I think we have an ARP meeting.
We have an ARP meeting on this 10th, right?
Art,
ARP. It's
5:30.
not on there.
So what about the 9th and 11th?
Oh my God.
I'm over, I'm tired.
What's 11th look like on
work
there,
out something,
Chris?
send just over.
Free.
Nothing.
It's free. Is that okay? 9th and 11th? Is
Yep.
that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we-
Okay.
9th and
We'll
11th.
just do, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, on this solid waste, do we want to go back to the 5th? After, on the solid waste, the, not solid waste, the
PSAP.
dispatch, PSAP. Do we want to go try the 5th after that zoning, for the health board meeting? If anyone's want to go to the health board meeting, it's at what? Was it at 5? We do like at 6,
On what day is that again, you said?
the 5th.
The 5th at 6? Let's see, the 6th, you said the 5th at 6.
Chris?
Yeah.
Would that give enough time to advertise?
The 5th at 6?
Yeah.
The 5th, yeah. Yeah.
We can't count Monday, so.
As far as Friday,
It
off
looks
Friday,
good on
Wednesday.
City's calendar, but let me email the council members and see how they feel.
So we would have to advertise that, Connie, by 6 on the 3rd.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right.
You
So we
got
have
the
time.
figures all together on that, Chris?
They're closed on Monday.
We can advertise earlier, yeah. So the absolute latest would be Tuesday.
So PSAP potentially the 5th at 4? 6?
No, at 6.
6.
Do you want to be here or where? I don't
Yeah,
care.
I would like
We're
to be
open
here.
here.
Here's fine.
We're open.
You met at your court last time, well, it'll be this court
That
this time.
sounds good to me. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'll bring pizza.
Really?
No, not really. I don't have
I was like, really?
I gotta bring Papa John's coupon. I can take one out.
Okay, our next item, are we done with the scheduling meetings?
Yep, done it. I'll get it all done.
Okay, we have the
Yeah.
Was I sure?
review of taxing unit levy and circuit breaker credits.
You need that? I got a copy somewhere.
Did you send us that? I didn't get that.
Yep, I sent it in a
Did?
separate email.
Oh. I thought so.
Today? Did you send it today?
No, yesterday.
But there wasn't nothing on that.
There was attachment. Whoa.
Wasn't it just, I thought it looked like
I
just.
got it. Did you get it? Did you get it? I didn't see one, Chris. Maybe it didn't go through. I don't know.
I thought it was like, it just looked like.
Yeah, 'cause you said thank
Pays for
you.
putting them in, that price quantity's already out of them.
And the email I sent
What date you got?
to county. I worked hard on that. You know, I worked hard on
But it
that.
didn't look like there was anything there.
5th of September, 6 p.m.
I did.
And then the,
from 4 to 7.
About half of them all.
But we have work on it.
11, Monday and Wednesday,
Right, and the 11th. Okay,
Okay,
that's
here's
council.
what
Here it
I,
is right here.
4 to 7.
I have.
Do whatever.
Here's what it is.
Huh?
County council,
Yeah.
right here. Sent it to the county council yesterday, or Wednesday, 8/28.
Hey, Chris.
Susan, good morning. Susan did not get back with me in time, so I did not originally have this
oh,
information
you're talking
verified.
the,
Yeah,
you're talking this.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have that. I thought we were talking,
I wonder if something's wrong with our email, so I didn't get warranty now. I didn't
yeah,
get
I
your.
had that. I was looking at,
You call on Jim probably then, yeah. Because I sent it to the county council group.
I thought you were talking
I'm
about
sure.
this. What
You
is
probably
this?
did the same.
There's the memo. I worked hard on those figures. That's not easy. Is it?
We have to look at this tonight.
That's what you, You can actually do it at the public, or the October 12th.
That's when we normally do that thing.
Can we do that so you can, so we can get
Let's do it at the October 12th, because our rooms are done.
Oh, shit. You should have it.
I didn't get it.
Here, I'll send it to you again. See if you get it to this time, Kelly. I'll send it to you
I'll look on my
individually.
phone. Send it to me.
Okay, the AIC conference is in Switzerland County, September 23rd through 26th. I don't know, I think Chris and Kelly are going.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone else is. or not,
Amanda's
but-
going. Amanda and I are both on the auditors and treasurers and AIC. I think Cindy's going too. She's a past president of AIC. I don't know if Rachel's going. But a lot of good training, a lot of good stuff.
The next three items here are just
The dates.
dates, 2025 budget public hearing Thursday, September 12th, 2024, at 5 PM here. 2025 budget workshop, September 17th through 19th, starting each morning at 8 AM. Are we ending those at 4 or?
Well, last year we went until we dropped.
I guess.
So we've never put an end time.
Did you send it again?
Then
Did you send it?
the next regular meeting is Thursday, September 19th
I'll send it to you individually.
at 5 PM here.
We should just camp out here, shouldn't we?
Yeah, so.
Catch a
You
tent.
need to make a motion because you need to adjourn, David.
Uh,
You need to make a motion. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Kelly to adjourn,
At the end.
second by Stan. All in favor of adjourn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
It will help a lot. I'm just looking at the email saying, you know, we need more.
So I want to show you. Look, it's not.
I'm hoping the city and the county.
Log out.